Alrighty. Good afternoon, everybody. I hope this switched over. Is my Twitch just being slow? Yes, it is. Hey, everybody. Good afternoon, and welcome to the Greyhawk channel. I am Eugenio, also known as your friendly neighborhood dungeon master DM Jazzy Hands. I use he/him pronouns, and I am thrilled to be back this week with the Brenton Files Monsters and Myths here on the Greyhawk channel. Let's go around and go ahead and introduce our players for the day, and then we will get down to the housekeeping for this week. Let's start this week with Alicia.
Hello, I'm Energy9 or Alicia. I play Lambo Rathul, our nice southern, not exactly belle, but just southern sorcerer who just wants to help people and get Merrick to stop being a jerk.
Godspeed, Lambo, Godspeed. Speaking of Merrick, Kyle, how you doing this week?
Hi, I'm Kyle. I play Merrick, the tiefling wizard conjurer, they, them. And I'm the jerk.
That sums it up. All right. Well, I feel like we need a bit of goodness in our lives next. So, Ismail, your turn.
Yes. I am Ismael. I play Zephyr, who is a very kindly half-elf bard.
Yes, he is. He's such a good boy. And last but most certainly not least, Emily.
Hi, I'm Emily. I play Zenda, the halfling rogue who's a little manic and a little confused, but apparently the wisest in the group. I don't know. I think we need to explore that a little more.
I prefer it when you introduce your character with those descriptors and not yourself, but it's cool. You're welcome.
Accurate. Red for Phil.
All right, I'm so excited, but before we get started playing, we have some shout-outs and some thank yous and some all kinds of stuff to do. So first, I want to shout out to some of the awesome sponsors and supporters that we have here on the Greyhawk channel. First and foremost, we want to thank all of you who have either subscribed to the Twitch channel here and or joined our Patreon at patreon.com/thegreyhawk channel. We so appreciate your support of all that we do here, and we do a lot. You can scroll down a little bit and see the schedule of games that we have going on every week, and that would not be possible without all of your support, so thank you. Next, we want to thank Roll20. We're not, once again this week, not going to be actually using their virtual tabletop system, though we may in future sessions, but in general, the Greyhawk channel is officially supported by Roll20, the world's leading virtual tabletop. You can try out their services for free at roll20.net. That's roll20.net. We also have an official battle map sponsor, Heroic Maps. Hey, thanks for the cheer, anonymous cheerer. I lost my place. Thanks, anonymous cheer. You can, what are we doing? Heroic Maps! Yeah, that's the one. Heroic Maps has more than 300 maps available on DriveThruRPG, so go check those out. We're also sponsored by Tabletop Loot. You can go to tabletoploot.com and use the coupon code GREYHAWK to get 15% off your dice order. Last but most certainly not least, we want to thank Devin Rue and Cantrip Candles for their support. Our Patreon supporters and Twitch subscribers get access to exclusive coupon codes to use on their websites in the private supporter channel of our Discord. You can check out everything that they have available at their respective websites, rueinc.com and cantripcandles.com. Last bit of housekeeping. As you all know, here on the Greyhawk channel, we have those fun little bars down at the bottom of the screen. You might notice that we have a 400 news follower goal for the summer season, which is going on right now. We are at 168 followers, so if you're not already following the Greyhawk channel, head up to the top of your browser and click on the little heart icon so that we can get ever closer to our goal there. We also have the stream boss, which is something about people who do bits and then we try and kill them, which I mean, I'd rather thank them, but kill the bosses. So that's a thing down there. And then we do have our Divine Favor. Anytime that you all contribute bits and cheers to our show, A, we so appreciate it, but B, it gets us that much closer to completing our Divine Favor bar, which will give all kinds of cool bonuses like auto success on saves and attack rolls, nat 20s, and other stuff like that to our players. So thanks in advance for all of your support, however you can give it to us. All right, I think that is everything going on housekeeping-wise, so let's talk about what happened last week. Who wants to start off our little recap of events that have transpired? Okay, I need
So,
yeah.
Yep, sorry, I always politely wait and make sure I'm not talking over.
Such a good boy.
Well, as I was saying...
Oh my god, Merrick! God, they're the worst.
Sit down, Merrick.
Last session, we continued through the house after having met our newest member and kind of trying to figure out exactly what the hell was going on here. we proceeded through a couple of more rooms until we found a really bad guy who was apparently the evil kind of ghost from the movie Ghost, and he was trying to suck us into some kind of a circle to use our souls to power whatever crazy scheme he had going. But we were able to defeat him and discover that this house is also haunted by a nominally good ghost who is a little girl who is the daughter of the family who lived here when bad guy ghost came and burned it down, but then it's not burned down because ghost powers.
Thank you for summing that up basically exactly how I would have. You all can cast spells, just go with it.
And I think we ended last session with the idea that we were going to try and figure out like who is going to reside where, and just talking to the ghost girl about our involvement and basically getting her permission to reside in the house where we had previously not.
Yes, that is almost how last week ended. There was a bit of a surprise at the very end. Yes, do it, Lembo. You're over there.
Because the lady's spelling of herb showed up and be like, hey, y'all screwed some stuff up. I'm here to fix it and tell you what you did wrong.
Yes.
She was... Currently, Linda, Lambo, and Merrick are at the shack, and Girl Ghost and Zephyr are at the house.
Correct, yes. And this woman has shown up. She, as Lambo said, she is not pleased and has demanded to have a conversation with you. She did, she sort of looks and sees you and sees Reese, the Girl Ghost, and she did ask Zephyr, she said, well, now I'm telling you that she is saying something along the lines of like, I know you didn't do this by yourself. Where is the rest of your... Where are your friends? Where is your party? Where are your co-conspirators?
Such a harsh word, conspirator.
She doesn't know what happened. She's pissed. Look. I also don't remember what voice she had.
I didn't say it was inaccurate. I just said it was harsh.
Exactly. Also, does anybody remember what she sounded like?
Not a damn
That I did not know.
Cool. I'm going to make it up now and write it down.
Southern.
I think she might be...
I thought she was pissed.
Is she Irish?
No, I don't think she's Irish. She's either, like, Spanish or, like, maybe French. What do we think? Viewers, any votes? You guys, any votes? What do we think?
I'd lean towards Spanish, but either sounds good.
Okay.
Just think about what accent you can sound the most angry in and do that.
Spanish it is.
There you go.
Writing this down now.
I'm trying to give him a challenge here.
Okay, she might actually throw in some Spanish, which we're going to pretend is... What is she? Which we're going to pretend is Sylvan. So I don't know if any of you speak Sylvan, but if you don't, then it's probably for the best, because you won't understand when she's cursing at you. All right.
Something.
Yeah.
I just know all the curse words.
Yeah, exactly. Amazing. So good. Okay, so she asked where your friends are. She wants you to go get them. Because she wants to talk to all of you who screwed this up.
Oops.
And I'm going to assume Emily, you're muted. I'm going to assume that the silence means that you do, in fact, go and get them, bring them back to the house. You all, which of these death trap rooms that are no longer death traps would you like to have this little meeting in?
The dining room.
The dining room. Yay, there is a table. There are lots of chairs. Probably devils aren't going to come popping out of them anymore. All right, so you all head into the dining room.
We have help.
That's right, and you're all together this time, and she's here. And she either is very skilled or a great meat shield. I don't know. All right, so she takes you all in there. And she sort of just looks at you all as she definitely takes the head of the table. And she says, all right, tell me your names first.
Well, I'm Lambo Raphael. Nice to meet you.
Yeah, it remains to be seen, but okay.
It's nice for me to meet you.
I appreciate
Perhaps not the reverse.
All right. And you?
Zenda climbs up onto the table and sits to be eye level with everybody else. Says, I'm Zenda. Who are you?
So we'll get to that. Who are you two?
Merrick.
Eh. Concise and to the point. We might get along.
God, there's two.
Like Lambo will be like, oh boy.
And I am Zephyr.
Excellent, I suppose. Hey, thanks for the follow, Tarzan Tank. Oh, hey, Tarzan Tank. Nice to see you. Great. So she says, right, well, now that the niceties are completed, my name is Minnie Faye. And I have come up here to tell you that you have put this town in terrible danger. Now, what did you do up here? What happened?
We got rid of y'all's problem. That's all I'm saying. There were things in this house that tried to get us, and we got rid of them for you.
To be a little more precise, there was a, I guess, undead practitioner of magic that was upstairs, and they had some sort of magical circle that would suck the life out of things. And we were able to disrupt that circle and kill the shade. That's what was possessing people with shade. And then there's Reese. That's kind of all we got at this point.
She says, yes. I've known Reese for some time. It was shade that was the problem, you say. But what you do not realize is that, in fact, though he did present some problems, it cannot be denied, he also was rather protecting this town that he had claimed as his own, and that protection is now gone.
Well, at least he won't eat any more people, because that was a problem.
It was a small price to pay for the protection from other, more dangerous horrors.
What kind of protection?
It is a bit like, when there is a big, scary predator in the forest, and all of the littler predators are afraid of it, so they don't come anywhere near? It was like that. He was the big, scary predator that kept all the other predators away.
So what you're saying is he was the worst of your problems, and we took care of that, so we should be able to handle the smaller problems.
She thinks about that for a second, and she says, excellent. It sounds like you have just volunteered to be the protectors of Brenton. Done.
That's kind of our job.
Lambo looking over there, just like, we're supposed to negotiate pay. Whatever.
Yes. She says, fantastic. I will expect you all to keep a constant watch on the rest of the town, protecting it from all manner of dangers, arcane, mundane, and divine.
Well, if you were okay feeding people to that shade, I suppose you'd be okay supplying us for while we are here.
She sort of looks at you, like, super stone-faced, just like staring contest for maybe 3 to 5 seconds, and then she sort of cracks a smile and she says, now this one can negotiate. I appreciate that, too.
Okay. I was thinking, like, oh, I got to get something out of this.
She says, yes, I think that is only fair. Even though it was entirely your fault that the protection is now gone, it is only fair that I, one of the few people who is aware of what was really happening here in Brenton, can help you all, supply you, use my skills with herbs and alchemical mixtures to grant you support whenever I can.
Well, thank you.
Thank me when you don't die and when the town remains intact. Back to the matter at hand. What kind of...
Now, but okay.
was the matter at hand for Lambeau. But anyway, sorry, what was that?
What kind of problems were you worried about?
She sort of sighs and like slumps back in her chair a little bit, and she says, Brenton is a unique town. It was founded... Reese, did you tell them the story? And she just sort of nods. And she says, well, so you have an idea of how the town was founded. Founded by two families that brought this shade to the town, meaning that its very origins are steeped in a sort of dark magic. Now, while the shade grew more powerful and eventually was powerful enough to chase away other problems, those inauspicious beginnings of our town can leave a mark, if you take my meaning. There are energies, both good and evil, neutral as well, that have centers here in Brenton. It is no accident that Reese's family and the other family, the Brenners, chose this spot. Even before their arrival, it was a sort of nexus of energies from the Feywild and the Shadowfell and many other planes as well. I have done my part to keep much of that at bay, and as I said, Shade did a very good job of that as well. Now that his protection is gone, my limited abilities to keep the beasties at bay concerns me. Anything from randomly and spontaneously developing undead to larger, more intelligent creatures from other planes deciding to take up residence here in Brenton. Perhaps even some of these planar and magical energies affecting the current residents of Brenton in ways we cannot anticipate. Does that answer your question, Marek?
Yes. Reese, were you aware of this problem?
She looks, her eyes are gigantic, and she was like, no, I just thought he was kind of mean.
Merrick like side eyes Lambo. They're like, I'm so glad we helped the child.
Would you prefer we were dead?
I'd prefer we weren't in this shithole.
Well, perhaps you shouldn't have fucked up.
I wouldn't use as colorful language as my companions, but I do have to express a slight bit of upset at the fact that we were sent here with very little information and apparently upset the order. I would love to know what our actual purpose before we disrupted the order would have been, and what we are expected to do now.
She says, let's take a step back. What do you mean sent here?
We were asked to come here and to occupy this mansion by our leadership.
And who is your leadership?
The soldiers of Acheron.
Yeah, never heard of them. Why did they send you here?
Because we fucked up.
Essentially.
Hey. I did
Yeah,
nothing.
don't act innocent. You did. Just because we don't know what you did doesn't mean you didn't do anything.
So what? They took a map out and pointed randomly at some middle of nowhere place and sent you there?
As far as we know, yes.
I rather like their technique. I just wish they hadn't randomly pointed at our little village. Well,
Same.
Unfortunately, I know nothing about any of that, so I cannot tell you why you were sent here, what you were meant to do, but it seems we have found you a purpose now.
And I am okay with that. We are at your disposal.
We will help you.
What they said. Good job, Merrick.
Excellent. Well, let's see. Where to begin? I suppose you will be staying here, Reese, is that right? She nods. Well, we must get you settled and comfortable. I will take note of the four of you being here and begin preparing some basic concoctions, protective healing measures, things like that I will provide you with. I will let the town know that you are here, and you are here to protect and take their safety into primary consideration. I'm sure they will want to meet you and come to you for aid. Yes, Zenda?
Does that mean we get discounts at the various places in town?
That is up to them.
I'm just asking. I'm saying we're not really getting paid.
I will let you negotiate that with people as you need. As for my shop, I will provide you with a certain number of payment via a certain number of potions and alchemical mixtures every month. And if you want more than that, you are welcome to purchase them from me. Supplies don't come cheap out here in the hinterlands.
Understandable.
Is there anything we can do to help that supply line?
Do you know, it haven't even occurred to me, but since you are here, while you are not beating away the various beasties that will inevitably be drawn to Brenton, yes, I think there might be. And she sort of, she said, let me think on it, and I will give you a list of things that perhaps if you run across, we can make a bit of a deal. You collect them for me, I pay you, or give you more free things. We'll make it work. I like this relationship already.
Most certainly, and although I cannot speak for my companions, I will endure to do what we can to protect this town without the requisite sacrifices.
She says, yes, they were rather distasteful, but as I said, the alternative seemed to me to be far worse. But now that you're here, we don't have to take the lesser of evils.
Best of both worlds, I suppose.
Indeed.
That might be a bit relative, but yes, thank you. Glad to be working with you.
Ooh, Lambo. I love it. Excellent. Okay, do you have other questions for her? Stuff that you want to talk to her about, like, right now?
I want to talk to her not in the house.
Oh. So you're going to escort her out so that she can take her leave?
I wouldn't say escort, but follow. Yeah.
Sure. Okay. Anybody else want to say anything? Don't want to have any other part of this conversation here in the room?
Zenda's gonna follow Merrick.
Oh, yeah, she is.
Mm-hmm.
She just really, definitely wants you to be friends.
So badly. Look.
It's us and Minnie Faye, the trio to be reckoned with.
Oh, boy. All right, so the three of you then take your leave. Merrick, what do you have to say to her?
Now that we're outside, away from Reese's ears, the house, what's going on with it?
What do you mean?
I understand that there's magic around it. It was rebuilt by magic. It was burnt down by magic. There's a closet upstairs that Reese can't see.
I don't know, to be honest. This was my first time actually being inside of the house. I have no idea.
But you said you've known Reese for many years. How have you known Reese but never been inside the house before?
She was been able to open the door for me, and we speak at the door when Shade was not around, but I dared not enter. It was best if he did not know I was aware of his activities.
Do you know anything about Reese from before she became what she is now?
No, I may be old, but I'm not that old.
Does anybody know?
I don't think there are any original settlers left in the town, to be honest, so not that I am aware of. You could certainly ask around to some of the older residents. I have a family name of the elves that live here, but I don't remember it. The Iranafa family has been here for some time. I don't think that long, but they might be one option for you.
How exactly old is the house and Reese?
I would say at least 3 to 4 centuries.
Did you know she could do magic before she became a part of the house?
No, but that does make a lot of sense as to why her spirit is still here and still as present and intact as it is.
And as far as you know, her version of the story is the true version?
It's the only version we have, so as far as I know, yes.
Okay. Just curious. The little girl's not the most trustworthy or reliable.
I trust very few people entirely, but you take it where you can get it, you know.
I trust very few people, trust even fewer ghosts.
I don't think that's a thing people say, but all right.
Well, in our line of work, it has to be.
I suppose so. I suppose so.
Well, that's all I had. Thank you for your help.
Thank you for all that you will do for Brenton in the coming years.
And thank you for your payments in return.
All right. So, we're going to jump ahead a little bit with the wand and everything. Oh, bye, Emily. Oh, that's going to be real fun for the overlay, y'all.
Did you make it disappear?
I just
I blame you. Also, the overlay is real screwed. So we'll be right back, players, until Emily comes back in. We will be right back. Hey everybody, we are experiencing just a few technical difficulties. Our Zenda has some construction going on around her apartment at the moment, and we think that might have been why her internet decided to crap out for a moment. She's going to give it another go for just a few minutes, and if she can't get it back on quickly, then I will come on. You all will get to watch some background behind the scenes magic while I reorient all of our video feeds until she can come back, and then to be quite honest, you'll probably get to watch me do it again when she comes back, but I'm going to give her just another minute to see if she can get it back quickly. I apologize for the delay, but we will be back shortly. All right. Hi, everybody. We are going to be videoless for just a moment. That is sort of the best solution I can come up with at the minute because I am not super skilled at OBS, I have to admit to you all. So hopefully Emily Zenda will be able to rejoin us shortly. But in the meantime, we are going to keep going because what we have coming up right now. So now that Minnie Faye has left the house, we're going to jump forward in time about 6 months. You all have had some time to get yourselves settled, establish yourselves in town, get to know some of the other townsfolk. You have established yourselves as sort of the protectors and the solvers of problems here in Brenton. You've sort of reorganized the house with the help of some magic through Reese and through y'all's magic. You've sort of been able to reorganize things a little bit, maybe even reshape some of the spaces if you would like. So we're going to sort of go around and do a few little round-robin rounds where we'll all talk about something that has happened during those 6 months. It can be an NPC that you've met and made a connection with. It can be a problem that you solved. It can just be something about your character by themselves, whatever you want. And I will get us started. So once you established yourselves here, you did start to get townsfolk coming up to the manor very tentatively at first, but eventually much more boldly coming up to request help. One of the very first missions that you all were asked to investigate was one of the townspeople, one of the farmers in town, was concerned because they thought that they had been attacked by, and that their barn was infested by some strange type of rat that looked like the top of its head was missing, and he'd heard from a cousin who lives in the free city of Greyhawk that there are these things called cranium rats that have mind magic powers, and he heard voices in his head coming from this rat, and so he thought that maybe that's what it was. And you all went to go check it out, and it turns out that actually it was just some regular rats that had weird. Oh no! All right. Well, I thought we had her back. It turns out that they were just regular rats who had a very strange fungus that looked a lot like brains that was growing sort of all over their head, and the voices he heard in his head were in fact just his kids playing on the outside of the barn, so it wasn't actually anything. Y'all killed some rats, cleared out some fungus, and that was that. Who wants to tell us a story from the 6 months next?
I think Merrick has done like a deep dive into everything in that shed, and they are like perusing everything and like kind of converting it into like a study away from the house.
Okay, I love that. Where is, there we go. Founder. Okay, good. Any other details about that study?
They're just making it super cozy.
Great.
And exploring everything that they can find, all the books, all the different things that the shade guy was working on in there, and just trying to get some alone time away from the group that they're not too fond of.
Yeah. Great. I think you have an idea of some of the things that he was doing. A lot of it was very complex magic that you feel like was probably even beyond him, at least at the time that you all ran into him. I'll say that you find, and I'll sort of let you pick which ones, probably necromancy spells. You find 2 necromancy spells that you can copy into your spell book as a wizard. Let's say one of them has to be 1st or 2nd level, and the second one can be 3rd level if you like.
Ooh, fancy.
Who else has ideas for what happened in the 6 months? Or I can do another story point, and then we can jump back. Does anybody have something right now? What?
Oh, I just want to make sure you guys can hear me. Okay, bye.
Yes, we can hear you.
No, we can hear you. I was tempted to have Zafir run a one-man show of Sweeney Todd.
Oh my god, yes. 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 Make an intelligence performance check.
All right.
Since you're writing it, but it's still about theatricality and drama. Oh my god, I'm obsessed with this. Because you know that we're going to have a performance of it at some point this season. While we are finding out how...
I was rolling in the wrong spot.
Oh, okay. I also don't know what Roll20 campaign you are in, but it appears to not be the one that I'm in, which is fine. You can just tell me what you roll.
Just loading.
Loading. There he is.
This is so exciting. There we go.
Hey, okay, it's
16.
pretty good. It's pretty good. It's going to take a little while to really, get it all workshopped and ready for public consumption, but it's good.
And one thing that I want to do in the performance and the kind of writing of it is kind of pepper in like cautionary tales.
Oh, good.
Maybe have little vignettes of like, this is how you look out for bad stuff that might be coming.
I love that. Oh, he's such a good boy. All right, I love it.
Educational.
I know,
That's lovely.
right? Isn't that great? All right, I'm going to hop in with another one, which is just that over the course of the 6 months that you were here, you got to know folks, and there were births and deaths over those 6 months, nothing seemingly super out of the ordinary, but as folks got to know you in this town in Brenton, you were invited to several weddings and funerals, which, sort of made you feel I know the dancing was for the weddings, but I
Yeah.
finished with funerals, so it felt weird.
I was like,
Yeah, so that just helps you feel, well, if you so desire, it helps you feel a little bit more a part of the fabric that is Brenton and life therein. Zenda, you got any ideas for stuff that Zenda would have been doing over these 6 months?
I feel like Zenda got. First of all, are we near large bodies of water? Are we near the ocean?
Definitely not the ocean. There's some sizable rivers within like a day's walk, and like a day and a half. There's like the vacation spot for Brentoners is this really lovely lake. It's not super huge. It's not like Great Lake size, but it's a good size lake.
Okay, but anything that comes in and out of this town is by road and not by ship.
Yes, definitely.
Okay, cool. I feel like Zenda got to know sort of like the seedy members of the town, maybe the other con artists, the thieves, just kind of get in where she fits in. You know what I mean? Kind of see what's happening there. As many connections to cheaper and or stolen goods as possible. You know what? I'm just trying to make sure the bases are covered.
I love it. Why don't you make me a charisma investigation check? So instead of adding your intelligence modifier to it, you're gonna add your charisma modifier instead. Because this is you like going out, being out and among your people, getting information. So it's gonna be at a +3. It looks like.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, I'm just not even seeing it on the thing.
No worries. Okay, so 6 months in, she rolled a 7. 6 months in, people are still a little unsure of you. Yeah, so like you're aware that stuff is going on, and like people know who you are, but like you haven't really been able to like get in the club yet.
Which makes sense.
Which makes sense. Yeah, absolutely. I also want you to think about Zenda. I want you to think about who your background is the charlatan background, which has a false identity feature. I want you to figure out who that false identity is that you're going to have like all the paperwork for and all that. And we'll find out more about them at some point.
Okay.
All right.
It would be.
Go ahead.
Sorry, it would be a little sad if she was the only halfling in town. So like the other identity was just like, wait a second, there's 2 halflings.
I mean, ultimately, I'm going to leave it up to Zenda, but, like, if you want there to be no halflings in town, then there are no halflings in town.
I think I'm the only halfling.
Great. Done.
I think that's fun.
Done.
There's no hiding.
Done and dusted. Yes. All of the yes. Amazing.
I have a 6-month story, possibly inspired by recent events. So I like to think that one of the things, because Lambeau's still kind of concerned about us getting actual money while we're here, like swears are nice. Sure. So it's sort of a side hustle between her detect thoughts, her proficiency in deception, and medicine checks. She's kind of running like a sort of a fortune teller, just like tell it, and here's what's in the future, like kind of tell people what they want to hear, and also perhaps use her medicine to diagnose, like, oh, you're going to become ill in like 2 weeks because she can like see that, kind of mixing that all together.
Yes.
And her security while she's doing that is a random, let's say, stray dog that ran into her that loves her and just follows her everywhere. Aww. So she also adorns when she's doing the fortune teller persona. She also dolls up the dog. It's like, this is my mystical protector.
Aww. I love it. Okay.
Because my neighbor's dog loves me, apparently, and decided to say hi. And I
I love it. Okay, I love everything about that. Also, your background is the doctor, so like absolutely all of this fits with that as well. Let's see. For right now, do me a favor and make a wisdom medicine check and a charisma deception check. And let's just sort of see like how the business is going off the bat.
Fair enough.
I like it.
I don't have to have that be done. All right. Okay, that's the deception.
Okay, the deception was a 17. Looks good. Okay.
Oh, no.
You definitely have misdiagnosed people. So
but I lie really well.
Which is funny because the doctor's actually the one that's in your background. Anyway, I love it. All right, so
Can Zephyr assist with that? Because he has medicine.
Sure.
Okay.
Sure.
That's better.
Okay, so the 13, so that is better. Okay, so I still want to use the one and say that, like, maybe your very first person, like, they were a hypochondriac, and so you used your detect thoughts, and you were like, oh, you need, like, you sent them to the free city of Greyhawk to, like, get proper, like, clerical help, and really there was, like, nothing wrong with them. But after that little... Right. After that, you quickly learn to, like, you know, probe a little deeper and make sure that they aren't just crazy warriors. And so you were able to, like, you know, diagnose some stuff, help out with some stuff, with the help also of Minifay's, like, apothecary shop. Like, you've got some medicinal supplies, you know, some peppermint oil for tummies and things like that.
I will make money off this if it kills me.
That's right. That's right. I love it. Zenda really wants something.
Zenda really wants to be also helpful, since I'm getting to know, I know, weird, right? So she's getting to know the townspeople, and this, like, she's working on her scams. She's using her little sleight of hand to make some people feel that either some ill will might be befalling them, that they might be sick, and then she sends them to...
Yes!
Oh my god, you guys have got this whole racket going, and I'm obsessed with it.
Hey!
I love it so much. Yes.
We are protectors and also shysters.
Also that. Hey, whatever works. I love it.
From themselves.
I love it. I love it. All right. Some other things. I'm going to go again. Some other things that happen. You all, by month, like, 3 or 4, you all have been called out no less than 5 times to go and investigate this old lady that lives on the far side of town. Everyone just calls her Old Lady Liza. And, like, as far as you can tell, she's just a cranky old lady. But, like, she's she's cranky and grumpy and, like, has every right to be. But, like, the younger folks that, like, take deliveries to her house and, like, bring her supplies every week, she really doesn't leave the house very much, like, are kind of assholes about everything. And so they have sent you out more than once now to go, like, see what she's up to, because it must be some dark magic. And, like, you've never seen any indication of that. What else happens? Let's see. There are some births, which I already no, I didn't mention the births. There were deaths and marriages. I mentioned those. Carp Alderleaf married Thistle Moonbow. It was a lovely ceremony. What else?
Assuming we attended.
Well, right. You were all invited, and I assume that everyone but Merrick probably attended.
Oh, of course, Lambeau went. People are going to want to know who gets married next. Perfect opportunity.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Zenda, did you? Oh, yeah. So in that case, Zenda definitely went.
Yeah, Zenda never misses the party. Are you kidding?
Totally.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Over the 6 months, you also, like, you were called on to investigate, like, innumerable hauntings. But they were never anything. It was half the time it was pranksters. Sometimes it was just the wind. Sometimes it was, you know, burrowing vermin in the foundations of houses. It was never actually anything. So you get to, you know, 6 months pass, and very little has actually gone wrong. It really feels like perhaps Minifay was exaggerating. Or maybe it was just y'all's presence just kept the things at bay. I want you all to think about a couple of things. I'm going to go down for each one of you. So, Lambeau, your doctor background feature talks about maybe folks offering you a reward in return for your service. So maybe as we go on, and you don't have to tell me right now, but think about some townsperson that you actually legitimately, like, helped in a big way, medically speaking. And also have some ideas for how they would choose to repay you. Merrick, your background makes total sense, and let's see. Yeah, I don't know. In what way? Think about a way in which whatever this past event that haunts you so was, think about a way that it has affected your relationships with the town people outside of you just being a nasty twit. I don't know if maybe you finally told someone. I don't know if it was a party member or like some random stranger. I don't know if Merrick drinks, but maybe they got drunk one night and like told some townsperson the story. You think about that for a moment. Zenda, we've already talked. You're going to come up with your other halfling in town false identity. And Zephyr... Zephyr, you've got the noble feature. So it talks about being able to... sort of get an audience with local nobles and the common folk, making sure to sort of accommodate you. I don't know that Brenton really has a local nobility, but maybe every now and again, like maybe once in these 6 months, someone important has passed through town. So think about how you might want to leverage your sort of background of aristocracy and nobility when that person rolls through.
Quick question. Does Brenton have a mayor or a burgermeister or anything like that?
Sort of nominally it's Mini Fae, but like they don't even really have proper like elections or anything. It's very much like a, collective. All of the sort of heads of families will come together when big decisions have to be made, which frankly hasn't really happened in the 6 months that you've been in town. Nothing has really come up that was that important. But you know that there is that mechanism. You could have talked to Mini Fae about that.
Interesting. Yes, I'll give it some thought.
Okay, yeah, you don't have to tell me right now. Excellent. All right. The other thing that happens is that you all always have stocked from Mini Fae one potion of healing, which you can all add to your inventories. And, any time that you would have had a chance to come back into town and restock with her, she will replace that for you pretty consistently. If you have other alchemical or potion requests for her, you can sort of let me know, and I'll work on that for you as well. So we get to... Oh, yay. Hi, Lauren. So these 6 months pass, and they've been largely uneventful in terms of you all having to protect the town. And then one morning, there is a sort of frantic knocking on the door of your manor house. And it's quite early in the morning, earlier than you are used to having folks come to call. What are we doing? What happens? Who does what?
I feel like Zenda answers the door. I feel like Zenda's a morning person for some reason.
All right.
Is that weird?
Okay.
But I feel like, or maybe she just hasn't gone to sleep yet. Maybe that's more accurate.
I like either of those. Okay.
That's gotta be more accurate.
Yeah, I think that's more accurate. Sorry, Lando.
So, Zenda, you open the door, and standing outside is a somewhat frantic-looking young man, wood elf. You recognize him as Ren Iranafa. He is the son of the family, actually, that you were told about by Mini Fae 6 months ago. You've gotten to know, you've been over and you've spoken to his mother, Ariane, and she didn't really know anything about the Havertons and the Bernaires when they first moved into town either, but you've gotten to know them over the years. Ariane, Ren's mother, is a local sort of wood carver and carpenter and sometimes cooper. She's very, very good with her hands. Her pieces are always exquisite, even if it's just like very sort of utilitarian carpentry. Even that is like beautifully made. And you know that just a couple of days ago, Ariane suffered a terrible and totally freak accident out in the woods when she was out helping to cut trees and collect timber and wood for her business. She was horribly injured and died the next morning. And the whole town is quite upset about it. It's been really awful for sort of everyone because everyone knew the Iranafa family and at one point or another had gotten something from Ariane. Ren sort of has been pretty inconsolable and hasn't really been seen around town since then. He's also been preparing, the elves have very specific funeral rituals and things that they have to sort of do. So he's been sort of busy with that and hasn't really been seen around town since then. But here he is now looking pretty frantic at your door.
Mm-hmm. Zenda opens the door and sees Ren there, and immediately opens the door to let him in. Hold on. What's wrong? What's happening?
He is. Make me a wisdom insight check real quick, if you don't mind.
Flex that wisdom.
That's right. That +1 wisdom.
Yeah.
Although I think your insight, I can't remember if you took insight or not.
I don't know.
You did not. You did not. It's just a +1.
+1. Cool. Great.
He's frantic. You know, and he just sort of shoves a piece of paper that you hadn't noticed I'm shoving it up, but he's definitely taller than you. Shoves it into your hands. And before you read it, what are the other three of you doing?
I would have been in like the den with a cup of tea in my nightgown, just getting ready to go and pour over my work for the day, because all I do is work, bitch.
I know it. I still am unclear what you do, but yeah, I know it. How about the other two of you?
I imagine Lambeau kind of hearing the records, and if this is earlier than normally we get people, I imagine Lambeau, maybe she's like one of the upstairs things, or peeking out of her room. She has like a mud mask on. What is it? Like in her robe and everything. Oh yes, with her rollers. Hair rollers, mud mask, robe.
Love it.
Love Lando.
Zafir is probably trying to make everyone breakfast and will at some point lament the fact that people aren't going to come and eat, but he's doing it anyway.
Oh, it's been 6 months and he's still trying to get a family breakfast together.
Zenda will be there.
Bless
Never
him.
miss the party, including the food.
I love it. Yeah, okay, great. I love it. So it sounds like Merrick and Zafir are maybe heard the knocking, but then, figured that Zenda would answer, so they're not super concerned. Lambeau, you make me a wisdom perception check from upstairs.
Oh, great.
Let's see what you hear about what's going on. Speaking of, we discovered today, I can't remember if we did this on camera or not when we were on the air, but this party is not very wise in general. And Lambeau just rolled a 4,
which is actually a 3.
Which is actually a 3. So you think maybe you dreamt the door knocking.
All right, go back to sleep.
Eric would join Zenda and just like sipping their tea behind.
Oh my God, Merrick. All right, so Zenda, so you read this note that Ren passes you, and it's very short, and all it says is it's so sort of shocking and disturbing in its brevity and matter-of-factness, and it just says, "Remove her hands and leave them by your door tonight."
Remove her hands and leave them by your door tonight?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And then it says, failure to do so will bring down worse than missing hands upon you and your family.
Okay. So after reading this, I say, Ren, where did you get this? Where did you find this?
He sort of he's like trying to breathe and it's not going well, and like the frightened part is starting to fade, but now he's just like starting to cry, and he's sort of a mess. And he just like, he manages to get out. It was on her body this morning when I woke up.
Who's
Mom's
body? Okay. Zenda turns, has not seen that Merrick is behind her, and goes,
Sure.
Oh, shit. Try to get their attention.
Uh-huh.
Merrick, can you go get everybody else, please?
What's the problem?
Zenda hands him the note.
You see the note.
And decides to go get everybody else instead.
It's been 6 months, you know.
Yes.
Do I know of any creature that likes hands and feet specifically, or any ritual that requires hands and feet specifically?
I mean, make me an intelligence arcana check. Probably not, but who knows? It's D&D. We roll dice here. No. Okay, great. No, you do not. And it is a strange request, right? Like, what did you actually get?
I rolled a 2.
Oh, okay. No, you have no idea.
It's a 9, but it was rolled a 2.
Oh, okay. With a 9, I mean, I don't know. There's so many options. Like, you've heard of undead called crawling claws. You've heard of particularly powerful arcanists that like are able to use hands as talismans in certain rituals, but like there's nothing in particular really comes to mind outside of those sort of vague ideas.
Merrick just grabs Ren's hand and leads him inside, shuts the door behind him, says, "Come, sit down. I'll get you some tea."
He just sort of numbly follows you. He's, still trying to deep breathe and everything. So Zenda, let's hop to you. So you've gone into the kitchen first to grab Zephyr?
I went into the kitchen first to grab Zephyr, and the first thing Zenda says is, "Hey, so there's a problem out there. There's a note, something about hands. You'll read it. But I need you, since you're much better with words than I am, to ask Ren if they need her hands for the funeral. I just kind of feel like, I don't know how to ask in a polite way, but if it's gonna be life or death, like, I need to find out if like the hands are really an issue. So like, if you could, great, thanks." And then she runs upstairs to go wake up Lando.
Oh my god.
Zephyr's probably talking to himself at that point because Zenda's already left, but he's like, "Well, okay, but breakfast is gonna get cold."
Zephyr. Oh, Zephyr.
no.
Zephyr, why don't you make me an intelligence history check with advantage? Because you are a half-elf, right?
Ooh, yes.
Yeah. So let's see how much you know about sort of death and funerary rituals of the elves. Oh, look at that. Look at that beautiful non-natural 20. Yeah, it's going to be a problem. Elves in general and wood elves in particular have a lot of rituals that, the long and short of it is that the body of a departed loved one is pretty important and sacred until such time as it has been interred. And you imagine that, yes, indeed, it will be an issue. I will say with that non-natural 20 also, like, you probably have an idea that, tradition aside, like the fact that what's her name? Ariane? Yes. The fact that Ariane, like, worked with her hands so much and her son was training with her to do the same, like, on top of tradition, like, that probably just feels like insult to injury. Do you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Yeah.
So I've got stuff to do, but I'll let other people chime in.
Okay, so we're gonna go upstairs then and get Lambeau. Let's play this out.
Zenda opens the door, does not knock, just opens the door. Says, "Lando."
Yeah, what is it? What time is it?
I have no idea, but we've got an issue downstairs. We're gonna need your help. We've got people threatening the family of Ariane, and we need to go figure out what's happening.
Oh,
Can you get up?
Yeah. Give me. I'll get up. Please close the door.
You have 5 minutes. Closes the door.
She doesn't know what time it is, but she can keep track of 5 minutes.
I ask a Lambo sort of quickly,
right.
Get unsleepified.
Love it. All right. So you all gather eventually downstairs. Merrick, you have provided some tea to Ren, who's a little bit calmer now, although, still obviously visibly upset at what's happening. And what are we doing? You're all collected down there in the study, in the living room, in the dining room. Where are we putting him?
Living room?
Great. Yeah, there's a living room now. I love it. And yes, absolutely. I'm telling you, Haverton Manor is going to be like the ever-changing, ever-expanding. Because remember, there's like also there's
TARDIS.
It's basically the TARDIS. It's basically the TARDIS. Excellent. So y'all are in the very comfy living room that you have put together over these 6 months. He's sort of sitting on the couch holding the tea. It's shaking a little bit. You can hear the cup sort of rattling in the saucer ever so slightly, but he looks a little more composed than he was before when he first came in.
Okay. Can I do detect magic on the letter to see if there's any sort of like weird binding thing? Like once you read it, you have to like there's a Gios effect or anything?
Yeah, absolutely. So at will, right? You don't need to do it as a ritual.
At will.
Great.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. You don't detect anything on the note. No.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, at least you won't be forced to do it by magical means. Can say that much. And sorry, did you say about what time you found the note? You might have said that and I forgot.
No, I didn't. I mean, it's really early now. He obviously like got some sleep and then got up early to continue preparations. You also, I think you all probably know that based on the rituals and the timeline and everything, Ariane's funeral was meant to be tomorrow, sort of in the morning. So he probably was up super early, like continuing the preparations and everything. I would say right now it's, maybe by the time everyone is down there ready to chat, it's maybe 7th bell.
Mm-hmm. All right. Well, I suppose one course of action would be to go to your stead and see if we can find any tracks from whoever left this note.
Zafir, by the way, is coming in with a plate of food for him and is going to immediately cast Calm Emotions.
I love everything about that. Okay, so the trembling of the cup and saucer sort of stops, and he takes a deep breath. And let's see if he knows what you did. I know he's not the most magical. No, he doesn't. He just sort of takes a deep breath and sort of sighs and sees you with the plate and nods gratefully and eats a little bit. I mean, he's still, even with calm emotions, like his mom did die 2 days ago or 3 days ago. So he sort of is able to take a deep breath and he says, this isn't the first one of these notes, which is why I decided to come to you. If this had been the only one I'd heard of, I wouldn't have thought anything of it, but I think maybe you all need to be involved.
How many of these notes did you receive? Sorry.
No, I love it. At the same time, both of you are like, how many? He's like, oh, no, this is the only one that I have received, but a few other families have gotten them. And you all know that Ren is a bit of a busybody. He's a good kid. He's like 35, but he's an elf, so... He's a good kid, and he, is really shaping up to sort of take after his mother in terms of skill. But he's a bit of a gossip, and likes to sort of know everything. And he says, he tells you that for the last 2 months or so, he's heard of several families that have received similar notes to this one. Requesting bits of departed family members. And they were all, he hasn't seen the other notes, so he assumes they were all a little bit different. But as far as he knows, no one has sort of said no. His family, Ariane is the first elf to have died in the last couple of months, and it was just because it was a freak accident, right? Elves are quite long-lived, as we know. So, apparently the other families didn't have the same sort of qualms about this. Many folks in Brenton cremate their dead anyway, so they were sort of like, whatever, it doesn't really matter. But wood elves don't. So anyway, he tells you that he's heard about several other families getting notes like this.
This has been going on for months, and people have just been willingly giving up body parts of their deceased loved ones.
He sort of shrugs and he says, I mean, at least it was deceased loved ones, I think was the thinking. Those of us who have been here for a while, we're used to people just disappearing wholesale, and this seemed probably like a easier ask.
Zenda says, you'd be surprised how much money you can get for a body part or two.
Oh, Zenda.
Zenda dear, let's be a little more.
I'm just saying, it doesn't surprise me. But, Ren, was there anything else on or around the body when you found this? No one knows your mother like you do. You've been doing all the preparations, you've been working so hard. You've been so careful with her. Was there anything else on or around the body? Also, she is saying this sitting on top of the back of the couch. She wants to be.
Yes, trying to be. Yeah, I love it.
Yeah, trying to be.
He says no. I mean, I'll be honest. I saw the note and didn't spend a ton of time looking around. I came straight here, but it certainly didn't. The door was still closed. There wasn't anything out of place. It didn't look like anything else had happened. And I certainly don't know of anyone who would want my mother's hands disattached from her.
I have 2 suggestions, and Merrick is looking at the rest of the group. One, we go and we seek out the others who have been proposed this, and we speak to them about their experiences. And 2, we go in and look in the area of where this happened, because I'm sure our eyes will be a little more scrutinizing than Ren's.
Well, why don't we check out the area at Ren's first and then go to everybody else, see what we can pick up that way.
It's also very early still, and like the farmers might be up, but it's real early.
Wake the fuck up, it's an investigation.
Ren sort of says, I'm happy to take you back. I just would ask that if we do come in, that you all cover your faces and not touch my mother, if you don't mind.
All right then.
That sounds perfectly understandable.
Zenda, did you have a question?
No, I just wasn't. Zenda was like my whole face, or
I knew that was what she was thinking.
part of. She just decided to go with it. She's like, cool,
cool.
go. I'll follow the.
All right, so he'll lead you down to his house. He and his mother lived in a perfectly nice cottage. I mean, her stuff was of good quality, and they made fine coin here in town and selling their stuff to the occasional traveling merchant that would pass through Brenton. And attached to their house is the workshop. So it's a sizable building. And before you all go in, Ren sort of pulls out a sort of bit of embroidered fabric and sort of pins it so that it covers his face. And he sort of gives you guys the hold on and goes inside and comes out with some for each of you. And just reminds you all to please, look around all you want, but please not to touch his mother.
Yeah, nope. Lambo will follow set instructions.
All right, so you go inside and you see that sort of in the main room, the main entry room, looks like it probably served as a sort of combination living area and dining area. You see his mother, Ariane, laid out on the table, surrounded by candles and various herbs. You see a couple of books open on sort of counters and cabinets near to the table. Lots of candles. A few other bits, a few of her carvings, like her sort of more decorative carvings, are also placed around her on the table. And otherwise, nothing was out of the ordinary. I think you all have gotten to know the family, like I said, so I think you've probably been in the house before. So, you know what's in there. And if you would like to tell me about something that's in there as we go on, I'm sure I will be on board with you all, helping to create the space. But what are you all doing? What are you looking for specifically? How are you investigating this particular situation? This isn't powered by the apocalypse, so I can't have you all read a bad situation or something.
Gotcha. Well, I think actually even before we go inside the place proper, Lambo would try and see if she could find any footprints besides the ones we just made or Ren's that don't match any of those around the house.
Sure. I'll take, that sounds like tracking, so I'll take wisdom survival.
Not investigation?
I'll compromise with you. How about intelligence survival?
Okay.
Great.
I'll take that.
Great. Or wisdom. Oh, no. Actually, this is better. Let's do wisdom investigation. Let's do that. That'll actually give you a +2 instead of a +1.
Okay. There we go.
Yeah.
We'll do that.
You're frozen.
20.
Oh, yes, I am. I see that. I'm afraid of I'm afraid of turning my video off because I'm afraid I'm going to lose myself again like I did last week. But we're going to give it a try. Meanwhile, 20. Okay. Let's see. You were looking for footprints coming up to the front door, right?
Yeah, because that's where she assumed the note was.
Right. Yeah, so what you see some animal tracks sort of in the area. Looks like some sort of four-legged small creature that sort of comes up to the door and walks away from the door at some point, but that's sort of all you notice, really.
Clearly, they're an animal magus. I knew it was the dog all along.
It's your dog.
do you say that out loud? Because that makes me
No.
laugh. Okay, just checking.
No, Outlaw should probably just go, huh. That's it for now, because she doesn't have anything solid.
Great.
That's her what she was thinking.
All right, so yeah, that's what you all see outside. Who else is doing what? Yeah, go ahead, Zenda.
Can Zenda's going to examine if the door does the door have a lock?
The door does not have a lock, which is pretty standard in Brenton, to be honest.
Great. Then that's it. Zenda was going to examine to see if there's any damage to the door, but there's no lock.
There is not.
So, there's not a lock. Then she's chilling. She's going to go inside.
All right. Anything outside Zephyr or Merrick?
Zephyr would ask if it would be rude to attempt to use magic to speak with the dead.
Ooh. That's a
or
good question.
Or if you just knew that off the hand.
Right. I think it probably would be frowned upon a bit in this particular situation. I think what you know is that it's definitely not on the level of like removing her hands.
Right.
So if you feel like it's really super necessary, you might be able to ask Ren in a way that wouldn't be horrifying to him, but it would definitely be a big ask, we'll say.
Yeah. So no. Even before he asked that, or even before Zephyr thought to ask that, he looked visibly upset.
Sure.
And just understanding that the answer to that would be, or rather, the asking of that would be probably rude. Even just asking, Zephyr would probably, just having been upset by this whole situation, and he doesn't explain anything, he doesn't say anything. Zephyr goes for a walk.
Okay.
He
Great.
just leaves.
Yep.
Doesn't say anything to anyone.
Totally. Okay.
One thing I did think of, so seeing those tracks, so Lambo would ask Ren, would you happen to have a pet or anything of the four-legged variety?
He shakes his head and says, "No. Why?"
I just noticed some tracks outside and wasn't sure, like, if you kept the pet, or maybe animals normally come by to get something to eat. I don't know, feed them or whatever.
He says, "No, certainly not around here. No."
All right then.
Zenda is strangely quiet, and
so it seems.
So it seems, and is paying her respects to Ariane. Zenda also has like a tiny figurine of wood that Ariane made her.
Yeah.
Of another person that no one knows who it is yet. And decides to leave it with her other ones to pay respect. Yeah, and then just decides to look around without touching her, obviously, examine, first asks where exactly the note was found.
And he, Ren shows you that he just found it on her chest, which was why it was sort of so jarring, because obviously someone was very close to her at some point during the night.
As Zenda starts like asking questions, Merrick's gonna try to be a little sneaky about this.
Okay.
And they're gonna like go around the body and like just like hover the wand over the body, just like be like they're examining it for magic or some shit, because Ren's not magical or has an arcane knack.
Right.
So like the tip of the wand like lights up, and Merrick is casting Detect Thoughts on Ren.
Oh, okay. He how long does Calm Emotions last, Zephyr?
Oh, that's a good question. Let me
I
look
could have
that
also
up.
looked that up, but
And concentration up to a minute.
up to a minute. Okay,
So,
so
yeah.
I mean, he was able to sort of ride the wave of calm after the spell ended, but he's pretty he's got a lot going on inside, right? Like, he's trying, every time you get a glimpse of like grief and sadness, you like can almost physically see him imagining himself trying to push that away, to focus on like everything that he has to do before tomorrow, and also just like he's really hopeful that you all can deal with this, because he will cut off his own hands before he does anything to his mom.
Mm-hmm.
And like, he has that specific thought.
So, okay, that's a lot.
Sorry.
So
it is a lot. I also
that
should
was
have like warned everyone, all of you, and like the people watching. Like, I don't want to get we're not going to get super graphic into the dismemberment of corpses in this game, but like, that is sort of a little bit of a theme of probably this episode and next week. So if you're not okay with that, like, please feel free to say something in chat. If anything comes up that you all don't want to watch, this goes for players and viewers, like, please know that I will make it work. If it's something that makes you uncomfortable that you don't want to see, let us know in chat and we will move on from a scene if that needs to happen. I should have said that a long time ago and I apologize.
Thanks,
You're
Jess.
saying if you want it, you would hand wave it?
I will hand wave whatever. I mean, please don't make me hand wave the. Oh, you made a joke.
Sorry.
Just put your best foot forward, DM.
I'm here for that. I'm writing that down as my thing.
How does one notate anti-inspiration?
Encounter harder.
Usually
It's
I
so-
give it to one of my monsters, is what I do.
No, well, it's so weird. All of the monsters in this encounter just really want to go after Lambeau. It's so strange.
I'm just such a plucky pleat.
So after that initial like wave of grief that Merrick encounters, they're going to try to focus on Ren's answer to Zenda's question of where he found the note, and like they're trying to like visualize, like get an image of what actually happened when Ren first it came in and saw the note and like what was there, and just see if there's anything that he missed when he first did that. So that's a wisdom saving throw for me to dig deeper.
Okay.
For Ren.
Sure. That's a 9.
I am digging deeper.
Okay.
I'm trying to get in there.
Yeah, let's see. I'm trying to think of what he's got down there. Did you say there was some specific question you were looking for the answer to?
Well, it was in response to the question that Zenda made, where, like, what, like, because he was recalling, like, when he found the note, and I'm just trying to see if
Yeah, okay, I love that. Yeah, so you sort of watch that scene play out then as he remembers it, I think. And he, considering how upsetting it was, like, he remembers it pretty vividly. You see him come out of his room, come down the stairs, because their 2 sleeping quarters are upstairs. He comes down, he sort of goes about some things, and then he turns and just sees the parchment is sort of folded so that it's like tented, so that it's raised off of her chest, so it's very visible. And you hear sort of him gasp, and you see from his view he like runs over and very carefully reaches and grabs the note, and he, like, his hand is clearly trembling because you can tell that he knows what it's going to be because he had heard of all these other families. He opens it up, you see him read the note, he looks around, you see him sort of very quickly sort of looking at the floor, looking at the door, looking at the windows, And you actually see him sort of slump to the ground for a moment. He sits there for maybe 30 seconds, and then he gets up and sprints out the door to you all.
Would you think I have time for one more question?
Sure.
Yeah. This? So after that, Merrick's like just like, continuing to hover over the body and like trying to like fake examine it.
Mm-hmm.
And they're like, "Forgive me for bringing this up again, Ren, but I wasn't fully aware of the situation. How did your mother pass?"
And you see, as he thinks about this, flashes of what happened. The story that he tells you is pretty brief. He just says she was out in the woods outside of town, totally routine. She has some lumberjack people friends who helped her to collect wood and things, and they were out like they always were. Somebody was not careful, and he's very sort of even-toned about this, but he says, one of them just wasn't being careful, and a large branch broke off of one of the trees and fell directly on her. What you see is, in fact, mostly that story, but he clearly holds a lot more anger to this person who was climbing up on this branch and had climbed out too far on it when they were trying to reach another branch to cut, and very clearly hadn't this is all, sort of secondhand for him, so he is imagining what must have happened based on what the other people told him. So it's all a little bit almost cartoony in how angry he is about it. But this other person essentially just was too far out on the branch that couldn't support their weight. The branch fell, and it was actually the branch and that person that fell on his mother. And the fact that this other person fell on top of his mother is actually probably what saved the other person's life, because it was a hell of a fall.
Okay. Merrick's just gonna say thank you and walk away.
Okay, he's very confused, but all right.
Zenda would like to ask about the other people that were out there. The person specifically who cut the branch and fell. If they know who that person was.
Yeah, I mean, he can give you the names of. It's usually a team of 4 that his mother would work with, and they're all local, sort of. What is the gender neutral version of lumberjack, y'all? They're all tree cutters. Who had been working with Ariane for years.
Lumberjack's just a job title. I'm pretty sure it's gender neutral in itself.
Is it?
The name Jack, but I think it's more of just
all right. I mean, I'll go with that. I'm cool with that. Yeah, so he can tell you who they are. He clearly, well, actually, he's quite good at sort of holding his thoughts and feelings under wraps. But Merrick, you can concentrate and continue concentrating on his surface thoughts without probing, and spikes of anger sort of bubble to the surface when he mentions them. But it all seems pretty anger at like carelessness, not like he suspects any of them of foul play.
Yeah, that's what I assumed. Loggers.
Loggers. There you go.
I forgot about that.
That works, because I have heard lumberjanes before.
I have too. That was the reason that I was like, I don't. This all feels weird.
Yeah.
Loggers. Yes, loggers. Love that. Yeah. So that's what he can give you their names, and you probably at least in passing know most of them. Like maybe one of them you haven't met, but like you've seen them around town.
Yeah.
I want to try to like group up the 4 of us separate from Ren.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, he's happy to. Yeah, he's got stuff to do, so he doesn't really know what to do at this point. So, fine. Have that conversation without me.
Yeah. Get out of here.
Okay. Bye.
Bye, Ren.
Did anyone find anything interesting?
Well, there are some animal tracks outside, which apparently is unusual in this range. So perhaps someone has an animal companion or familiar of some kind and left a note like that. It's just a guess.
Anyone else?
I didn't find anything, but I really want to find out who else has received these notes and see if there's any connection between them besides the fact that they all live in the same town.
Yes, I think that's the next step. I didn't really get anything off of Ren when I was probing, as it was.
You were probing?
During our questions, it was a little more in-depth on my part.
Zephyr is still notably absent, by the way.
Yes, right. I was just about to say, Zephyr, I assume you are still not there.
Correct.
Great.
Zephyr did it. I knew it.
It was all Zephyr's fault.
That's a twist.
It's always the nice ones.
Right.
Yes.
So,
Does anybody know where Zephyr went?
it's you.
You
I was
guys
like,
are
who's
fine.
me?
That's actually a good question. So I think Lambo will do the mental message thing, whatever. Try and see if he's in range of that, which I gotta double check a range on it because I forgot.
I'm sorry, who's that you're trying to message?
Zephyr.
Is it
Oh,
30
yeah.
feet?
No, message I think is 300 or
Sorry,
100.
or rather, sorry. So I do telepath, which is only within 60 feet now. Is it
Okay.
within 60 feet?
I don't know. Are you within 60 feet, Zephyr? No? Okay.
Huh. It's not currently in range. Guess we're gonna have to find him the old-fashioned way.
Or we can continue on our jobs and let him find us.
Because it's such a good idea to let one of our companions go mysteriously missing when we're dealing with a case where people are taking dead body parts.
He walked away and he's still alive, so I think he's fine.
Merrick, if I haven't left you behind, there's little chance I will leave Zephyr behind.
Ha!
We have a job to do,
distress.
Lambo.
Exactly. We, as a group, that involves 4 of us.
Fine.
As Merrick and Lambo are arguing, Zenda has already left out the front door to go find.
Why do we keep leaving each other? Aren't we just a team? Zenda?
Excellent. Excellent.
Oh, she's not far. She just turned around and went outside. Waiting for you guys to
I'm
finish.
just hollering out.
Oh, well, I assumed we were outside when we discussed this. I didn't want to be
Oh, right.
we're just trying to prepare his mom's body. I assumed we were outside.
I have learned not to assume anything with you all, but that's a fair thing to say, I think.
Then she just started walking. She's like,
Do you even have any idea where Zephyr is?
no.
So where are we going to look?
I don't know. I'm going to start by walking in the direction that his tracks went.
Sure, make me a wisdom survival check.
Great. How much is that? Do I get anything? +1. Boom.
Boom, 18. You see his tracks very clearly.
Excellent.
Hey, Zephyr, where do they lead?
Zephyr is very likely just hanging out, like, in the woods. So for anyone who finds him, there's like a moment where he's visibly distraught until he realizes someone's there, and then he completely changes his expression and just pretends like he's okay.
Totally. I love that. Why don't how many of you are there? 3 of you who are not Zephyr make wisdom insight checks for me, please.
Can we help each other make one with advantage?
No, you can all make your own. And then
Dang
you can
it.
decide if people want to tell each other things, but
I'm sorry, a wisdom what?
insight.
I got a 4.
Okay, Lambo, I know you have a -1 to your wisdom, but also it would be helpful if you rolled above a 10 on a wisdom roll.
Look, there was a reason I didn't want to do it this way. It's intelligence, not wise.
I love it.
So
What'd you get, Merrick?
4, I think.
4.
4, 8, and 11. Yeah, I mean, Zephyr looks
We're all even.
like there's something up, but like he seems fine.
My apologies for disrupting our investigation. Let's press on.
I think the next step is to find the others that were contacted before. Doesn't seem to be many leads in this case.
Let us do that. I imagine it'll be much later now, and people, with luck, will be up.
Knock, knock. It's time to Sherlock.
Oh. Yes. I think that needs to go on a sign in front of your door. I love it. I love it.
that.
No, that's what the member jackets say.
Yes. Yes, our members only jackets.
Welcome to the Fraction Paction. Knock, knock. It's time to Sherlock.
Oh my god. All right. I can't. Poor Ren is like weeping over his mother's body, and y'all are making puns.
That's how I roll, yo.
Yeah. Ah, yes. Oh, y'all. In case anyone was worried that the show was going to get too scary at any point in time.
Ooh, I'm a devil person.
All right, that's enough. So,
Yes.
so you're going to you want to get the names of the other families that have gotten notes like this. Is that what I hear? And then go visit them.
Yes, please.
Okay. So you go. So you know, Ren offers you up. We'll say three families. And so you go and chat with some of them. Let's see. The first family that you talk to is two of the families are human farmer families. You know, nothing sort of super out of the ordinary. Another is a family of. You sort of get the feeling that like they are a chosen family. There's a half elf, a half orc, and a gnome that live together and they've all taken the same last name and our family name and they are very much a unit. But you sort of get the feeling that just based on science and biology, this is probably a chosen family, which is no less valid, but certainly different. So who would you like to talk to first?
Chosen family.
Only the chosen family and no one else.
No, just first.
I love them.
I know, I do too. Okay, so I think because I think gnome names are the best, I think they are going to have taken a gnome family name. So let's find a fun gnome family name for them.
Crinklebottom.
Crinklebottom. I didn't even have to look. That's great. Crinklebottom. Canon.
Oh, they all have crinkle bottoms. That's so cute.
All right, so you go visit the Crinklebottoms. And how do you want to approach this? I mean, it's a little delicate. You know that their family member that passed away, it was about a month ago now. So you know they are still grieving, but it's not quite as fresh as it is for Ren.
When it comes to tact, Zenda looks
It's
directly
all
to-
about Zenda.
Zenda looks directly at Zafir and takes the back of the line.
Uh-huh.
to walk in.
Uh-huh.
Merrick will stand next to Zenda
And
with
If-
their
if-
hands folded in front of them.
These are
if Severe
monsters.
still looks a little reluctant, I think Lambo will go ahead and knock.
Sure, yeah. It takes a minute for anybody to answer, but eventually the gnome there we go. The gnome answers the door and sort of, you know, greets you and says, how can I help you?
Morning, Crinklebottom family.
Yes. The gnome's name is Brina.
Okay, Brina. There we go. Just like I don't know gender.
Yep, Brina. Her name
Morning,
is Brina.
Brina.
Yep.
We're currently doing an investigation, and you're wondering if you'd be willing to answer some questions that might be of a delicate nature.
She sort of frowns and says, of course, please come in.
Thank you kindly.
Yes, of course. At the moment, Ek is out. You know Ek to be the half orc member of the family. Ek is out. She is already working the fields this morning, but I'm happy to answer any questions that I can.
Sorry, I'm just having notes.
Mhm.
All right. Well, we know you're. We know a member of your family whose name I don't know, but Lambo would.
Yes, you would. The member that passed was a dwarf, and his name was Dane.
All right. We know Dane passed about a month ago. Again, our condolences. But one thing we were wondering about is if you received any sort of mysterious note before his funeral. in regards to his body?
She sort of freezes at the mention of that. Brina does. And she looks pretty sharply at you first, Lambeau, and then at the rest of you all. And she nods, and she says, yes, we did. And after losing Dane, we decided that we needed to do what we had to do to protect the rest of the family, and Dane would have wanted it that way.
All right. Do you recall which body part it was?
She sort of flinches and recoils a little bit.
There's no good way to ask.
There sure isn't. Why don't you make me a charisma persuasion check? Let's see how it's going.
Okay.
She'll probably, I mean, it's not like she has anything to hide. I just want to know, how uncomfortable she is with the situation.
+3, 20.
All right. So she, you're being very gentle about it, as gentle as you can with such questions. And she just sort of nods and says that it was his legs. Sorry, his arms. Wrong person. It was his arms.
Arms. Okay. Arms. All right. And were you just I'm trying to remember what the note said. Did they say to leave it in a particular place or at a particular time?
They did. They said that night, the night before his funeral, outside the front door here.
And that was just gone the next day, and that was that, and you never received anything else.
We didn't. We burned his body the next day as we had planned, and we sort of didn't think about it again as much as was possible.
I understand, and again, thank you for answering these questions. I understand this is a delicate matter, but
she says, do you mind if I ask why now? It's been a month. Why are we having this conversation now?
Because the issue has come up again.
Her eyes get real wide, and she says, with whom?
That I'm not at liberty to disclose.
Let's see if she can figure it out, because everybody knows that. Nope, she sure can't. That was a 5.
I got a pretty good deception.
Yeah.
Yeah, not at liberty to say.
She says, I understand, but please,
we wish to prevent this from having to happen again.
She says that would be good. Whoever it is, there were things in that note that made us all nervous. Just encourage them to do whatever it is they ask. It's worth the peace of mind and the safety. That's just how we all feel.
I understand that. I prefer your safety not come at the cost of peace of mind.
She sort of laughs and says, well, I suppose I would prefer that too if you could manage it.
We'll do our best.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Send my greetings to the others, please. Our greetings to the others.
I will.
I'm
yes.
sorry.
No, go for it.
Did you ask how he died? Did we ask that yet?
No, I didn't.
Okay.
I don't know if we know or not in character.
Would that maybe be common knowledge?
I think so. Yeah. I mean, I think you all probably attended his funeral. He died. He was a very old dwarf. Died peacefully of old age. He worked the fields until his very last day, but he was just very old. Other thoughts or questions for Brina?
I think we have all we need. Thank you.
All right. So, if that's sort of the tenor of the questions, I mean, are you going to go to the other two families as well?
I'm not sure we need to.
I think Lambeau would, at least, just to confirm, because now she's got the influence. It's like, okay, you want hands from here, arms from here. Just wants to confirm. Like, I think it's whatever family is the leg. When she gets to that, she's like, oh, they're trying to make a homunculus or something.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, so she probably do at least one more just to confirm the pattern.
Okay, and if that's sort of, I mean, basically the same questions.
Yep. Yeah.
Yeah. So the other family was another farming family, and same sort of deal. They received a note the morning before the morning of the day before the funeral. This family was this was one of the human families. and the note requested this person's legs.
Gotcha. All right. After that, then she'll be done with it because she picks up the pattern.
So we have all the information we need. What's the plan to proceed?
Actually, hey Lambeau, make me another charisma persuasion check.
Sure. All right. Charisma persuasion.
I'm curious about
20.
All right, same thing. Okay, so this family, this human family, farmer family that you go to, they also ask like what's happening, who is this happening to, and they mention. Or they say, when you say, I can't tell you, they don't put two and two together with Ren and Ariane. But you do hear the person that you're talking to mutter something about, well, it can't be the Ruizes because that was a while ago and we wouldn't have waited this long. And you are, make me now a wisdom insight check. I know. Anyone who was in the house when Lambeau was questioning can make a wisdom insight check. Holy gods! It's funny because it's like, we get it, you have a -1, but clearly the dice gods are like, not wise.
I knew it because I'm just like, I've rolled 2 17s.
It's a 4.
No way.
It's a 4 for everyone watching, just for funsies. All right.
Zafir got a dirty 20.
Okay. Anybody else want to try their insight? Zafir's going to figure it out, but also, all right, a 9 from Zenda, not so much.
I also got a 9.
Amazing. Okay, so Zafir, you hear this, and whatever Lambeau and Zenda and Merrick want to think about it is fine. But Zafir, you hear this person mention the Ruiz family, and you were not even aware that. You know of the Ruiz family. You're not sure why this person's mentioning them because you hadn't heard anything about one of them passing away, which seems to sort of be the pattern in this whole little event. For what that's worth. The rest of you sort of, don't think anything of it when they mention the Ruizes.
So it would appear we have all the information we need. What's our game plan? Anything? Zenda? Anything?
Bueller?
Do we know of anything that would require the deceased body parts of deceased?
There are many.
Hands, feet, and legs.
Yeah, I mean, now that you've got a little more information, I suppose you could make another intelligence arcana check, Merrick, or anyone who would like to.
A natural 20.
Oh, okay.
Hey.
So, I mean, Merrick, you basically can confirm sort of what Lambeau was sort of thinking anyway, which is like, it feels like someone is maybe trying to create a homunculus or a flesh golem or something.
A flesh golem. Love that.
Flesh.
So Lambeau was most likely correct in her assumptions that it is a homunculus or flesh golem, if you will, that is being
Those
created.
are two different things, but yes.
Yeah.
Or,
I certainly hope it's not the second one.
well, it might be. Because
said
if
hope.
they're using flesh, it'd be easy to make a golem from flesh.
Really putting
yes.
those synapses together there, Merrick.
Your
Golem, flesh golems. See, that's not
What?
the same thing with homunculus. You don't get a homunculus.
Why do
Merrick,
Go ahead.
you are a character.
Yes, and so is Lambeau in this game on the Greyhawk channel.
Thanks
for watching.
You suck.
Subscribe and follow.
Yeah, right?
Well, that was a fascinating venture into etymology, but we should try and figure out what to do from this point on. I had a thought, perhaps, to get some bloody thing from a butcher's shop, pretend it was the hands, and simply lay in wait to see who comes and gets them.
You mean like this, and Merrick will minor conjuration a bloodied hand?
That may work as well, but we may need something that at least smells like blood. We don't know what or who or what we're working with here.
Zenda slightly grossed out by the thought of smelling the blood.
Well, that seems as reasonable idea as any.
I'm down for a stakeout.
Steak
I mean, I
out.
suppose we can also get some steak while we're there to cook. But
Ooh. Yes.
Yes.
Only if you don't let it go cold this time.
did we have steak and eggs for breakfast?
You did now.
You would have.
I promise we'll organize
That's right.
a family dinner as soon as this is done. I promise.
Wouldn't be the first time I've heard that.
Oh.
I was drunk that time. You can't take my word when I'm drinking. You know this.
The fear we all appreciate
I know
you
this
cooking,
now.
but breakfast at 5 a.m. is too early.
Guys,
I
we
need
need to bring it back. We need a plan. We have a client.
We're going to the butcher.
Okay, so
So
we
sealing up some hands.
okay, but the next step after that, we get a hand or something like a hand, and then we are staking out this person at Ren's home
Yeah,
and hoping to be able to capture them.
Absolutely.
very much.
And so Zafir wants to make a big show of going to the home and making it seem like we did cut off this elven woman's hands.
I see.
Just so that if someone's watching us, because
Right,
obviously we're
right.
being obvious as all get out, and then one of us, maybe the other halfling in town, should go to the butcher shop so that they don't know that it was one of us that went, and it's not like super obvious that we're like doing this handoff. And
Great.
oh, by the way,
The handoff.
I'm gonna have to
not
rename.
intended.
I'm gonna have to rename the episode and make it episode 3, hands off.
Yeah.
Sounds like a good title to me.
Hands off / hand waving / hands off hand wave. There it is.
Alicia, that mug.
That coffee mug just sent me off.
Oh, I
screen.
missed it. Wait, show it again. Show all of us again so we can have a chance to all I told you. Have I told you that I make my characters in my podcast explode when they do a bad pun? Not really, but
But this isn't a podcast.
the hand's true. The hands
And bad
off
is always relative.
hand wave. Okay, I'm just writing that down to adjust later. All right.
Track. Keep it
Great.
track.
All right. So I honestly have completely lost the thread of what your plan is. So somebody tell me what we're doing
we were trying
next.
to make a big show of
Right.
pretending to cut off the hands and
Right.
having the other halfling get the meat.
Other halfling is gonna go get meat.
Great. Zenda, what is the other halfling's name?
The other halfling.
Other halfling is literally
Yeah,
the
it's
other
literally just the other halfling.
halfling.
I was gonna say Asdens, it's just her name backwards.
That's
why I
exactly what I was doing. I was like, write it out, and then it's Adnez. Adnez.
Agnes.
Sounds like Agnes, but with a D.
Yep.
All right, Adnez. All right, so Adnez goes. So you get, you change outfits, you do a little makeup, whatever. You go over to the butcher and ask for what? Because I shouldn't assume you don't walk in and ask for hands.
Hi, can you give me a hand?
Right.
I feel like that would
Can
be
you give me a hand with something?
thing Zenda would ask for, and then Agnes would ask for, and then when given a strange look, say, "Hi, I'm having a themed party,
Oh.
and I'm looking for something a little gruesome. Do you have anything that like sort of looks like, I don't know, like hands, like small hands?"
This butcher is like, she goes, we have hooves, I guess. I could
Do you
give
have
you some
anything
pig
you could put-
hooves.
Sure. Is there anything else that we could put with it that maybe would look, we put in like some sort of like encasing or gloves even that could like maybe look more like a hand. Oh, by the way, you are definitely invited to the party. And this is a really weird request. And like, but you can come and see the thing. Gotta check though with my family to make sure we have enough food. But yeah, do you have anything like that I could?
He like
monkey's paw that I could ball.
Yes, right.
Could you have any?
She, the butcher was a woman. She looks so confused, and she's like, "Oh, yeah, okay, sure." And she like goes in the back, and she gets like a leather glove, and she like walks over to the meat grinder and starts like grinding like sausage meat into the glove to like fill it out. And as she's doing it, she's like, "Is this what you wanted? Does this work?"
It does. Do you have anything smaller? Anything a little smaller? I feel like, I mean, I'm little, so like we're gonna need to keep things only size appropriate. Do you have anything? Do you have a smaller glove?
She is definitely a like not small human woman. And she's like, "I can look." And she like goes in the back, and you hear her rummaging around, and she comes back out, and she's like, "I don't." Now, Zenda, do you have a small glove?
I do have 2 small gloves. You know what? I think I have my own, and I can walk. It's fine. We'll just use my own. Hold on, I've got them here. Can you use these? Can you fill these up? You can just use the same stuff you just put in that glove and just switch it over.
She like squeezes one glove into the other.
Mm-hmm.
There you go.
I'm trying really hard not to gag. Thank you much.
It's not cute.
It's not cute. Thank you. I'll let you know about the party. I'll be back. Thank you so much for your help. I appreciate it. And walks out.
It's too okay. I'll put it on your put it on your tab, I guess.
Under Adnes.
Right.
Oh, Adnes.
Oh, Adnes, you silly. 2 silver piece. Adnes to butcher. You better believe that's gonna come back to bite you in the ass.
Oh, I believe it. Got in my mind. Adnes really hard not to throw up, so she's trying to get the gloves to where they need to be quickly.
Yeah, it's pretty gross. You had her put in some we'll say juice to make it extra realistic. It's pretty gross.
Oh, that's nasty.
It smells kind of nice though. I will say, like, for as gross as it like looks, like it smells good. It's like good meat.
Oh, I'm sure.
Yeah,
I'm sure it's delicious.
It's not cooked, but like
Yeah. Hey, not cooked meat smells good too.
Spiced meat. Yeah, whatever.
Just cook it in the glove.
Oh God. So she puts this stuff in her bag to make sure that no one sees what she's actually getting. And no, we're gonna leave it. Okay, and
great.
she brings it back. Mm-hmm.
All right, great. Okay. So meanwhile, the rest of you 3 are inside, and have you explained to Ren the plan, or?
Yeah, we'll tell him. It would be kind of silly if we just camped out in his house and didn't say
does seem odd. So he I don't know. He's gonna go along with it, but he is real uncomfortable about because he's like, do we have to hide her hands? Do we think they're gonna come inside? What do we think?
Can we place a shawl or something over the hands just to perhaps in case they can see inside so they can't directly see?
He sort of thinks about it and he says, yeah, I think I could do that. She'll be buried with this anyway. And he goes over and gets a nice embroidered somewhere between a quilt and a shawl and lays it over her. Yeah.
Did they say where to leave it?
Yeah, outside the front door.
Okay. That's what I thought.
Yeah.
How are we going to stage this? That's a big question, I think. Who's where? What are we doing?
So, I mean, I think we have Ren, once we see the gloves of meat.
Sounds like a really bad magic item.
Well, we'll have him set those outside, and we'll just. I suppose I should be doing that in character. Well, reckon we just have Ren set the pseudo hands outside, and then we take out take post outside. Like maybe I don't know. Maybe one of us can hide in a tree. There's maybe some bushery around here. There are ways.
Use Lazarus.
Yeah, there you go.
I'll hide in the bushes or up in the tree.
Oh, there you go. All right, good.
Too. I'm quite stealthy.
And you want Ren to be the one to place them out that night?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Zephyr will cast Pass Without Trace on all of us.
Okay, so you all have to be within 30 feet of him wherever you're hiding, but that shouldn't be right. 30 feet, right?
That only lasts an hour, doesn't it?
Just an hour, but like if we do it close to the time, I
Sure.
guess.
Yeah.
Right on.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Do we think that this person's doing this is anything besides humanoid, or would they maybe be fae, fiend, undead themselves?
Tell me how you think you might figure this out.
I was just posing it to the group.
This was in character. I'm sorry. Yes, go on.
Not really, but yes.
Right. Okay. Got it. Do the thing. Got it.
I mean, we don't really have a way to know. Question: as the dog who is my new best friend, whether I wanted to do or not,
Oh, right.
with me.
That is a good question. I will let you decide if the dog is with you. I will say, like, the dog is with you, but I don't know that it's, like, super trained.
Oh, it's not at all.
Right. So, like, do you want it there with you where there is meat?
That's a good point.
Look, it's your call. But I feel like knowing this dog like you do, that's a thing that you would consider.
That is very fair. Or you know what? No, the dog is with me.
Okay.
And I just make sure to have like, can we just say that Atnez picked up the some more like meat and like a bone or something from there so she can keep the dog satisfied.
Great. Love that. Why don't you make a wisdom? Oh no.
There's a reason this dog isn't trained, and I was cool with that.
Make a wisdom animal handling check. You brought bribes, so make it with advantage.
Yay!
God.
Yay!
Just gonna roll a 1 and a 2. I can feel it.
There we go.
Hey!
Oh,
Look at that. Roll again. I'm just. Oh, there it is. All right. So you ended up with an 18. So you're able to like keep the dog from eating the hands, and relatively quiet and happily gnawing on its bone. Why don't then? Okay. So is there anything else that you all are doing throughout the course of this day in preparation for your stakeout? Is there anything that you want from Mini Faye? Is there anything else you want to do before you begin this stakeout?
Did you say we got some healing potions or no?
So everybody has 1 healing potion.
1 healing.
Okay. And like I said, like if something is happening and you use it, obviously you have used it and you don't have it anymore. But any time that we've done any sort of significant downtime, right, where you would have had a reasonable chance to stop by Mini Faye's shop, you can replenish that and she doesn't charge you for it.
Cool.
I don't think
I can't think of anything.
Okay.
Oh, does she have invisibility potions?
Those are not cheap, but let's see. Why don't you roll me a percentile for right now, Lambo? And it's definitely something that she can work on sort of for the future. But let's see if she's had a chance to finish it up.
I can cast invisibility as well, for what it's worth.
Sure.
83.
That's not bad. Let's see. I just want to look at one thing.
We even have money. I don't have any money listed.
Yeah, we'll deal with that shortly. But
I
for
side
right now,
hustled. I have some amount of money.
oh yeah, and I'll give you guys like a stipend, a weekly salary that you can add to your whatever. All right, let's see. Potions of invisibility are very rare, which I'm gonna say actually sure. So I'm sort of tiering them from legendary.
Mm-hmm.
Very rare, and we'll say that legendary is a 10% chance, very rare was a 20% chance. So yeah, you're good.
Sweet.
Only one, so you can have it. That's fine. But yeah, that's fine. That was
Cool.
her like her upsell gift to you all this month was this
Appreciate
potion of
it.
invisibility. Yeah. Cool. Anything else this day before we hop to the stakeout?
I didn't get the insight about the Ramirez, so no.
And Zeph's having a moment on the inside. So okay, so that night comes around and you all ready for the stakeout. Okay, so are you still casting Pass Without Trace, Zephyr?
Yeah, and I mean, for anyone who needs to be further than 30 feet away from me, that's fine.
Okay.
I mean, I figure that'll just help whoever's nearby. Or
Sure.
whatever.
Okay.
Question: do those
Answer.
bonuses stack?
So invisibility gives you advantage, and
Sorry,
the pass with. Oh, I'm
I
sorry.
should have finished.
Oh.
If somebody else casts Pass Without a Trace, do those? bonuses
They do
stack?
not. So yeah. So generally, the rule is that anything that has the exact same name doesn't stack on itself. That's
Gotcha.
sort of the
All right,
stacking rule
cool.
for 5e.
I think Lambo would still do that just so we can have a little more range for people to hide.
Totally. So like 2 maybe on either side of the house.
Yep.
Great. I love that. All right. So who's going to Lambeau's side to hide sort of within her 30-foot radius?
I was gonna hide inside the house, like within the door.
Oh, with Ren?
Like be inside the door and have like Lazarus on the like outside watching.
Sure. All right. Zenda, where?
I'm up in a tree.
Okay,
with,
are you on Zephyr's side or Lambeau's side?
Lambo's
Okay.
side?
All right. Yeah, Zephyr's been in a weird mood. He's so friendly most of the time, and like it's been weird today. I'm just gonna give him his space. Okay, so Zenda, you are up in a tree. Why don't you and Lambeau both roll me dexterity stealth checks? And with Lambeau's spell active, you are at a +10 to whatever your normal modifier is. So
Okay.
Zenda, that means your stealth is at a +20.
Great. I'm
Which
pretty
is
good then. I'm thinking I'm
Insane.
pretty much set. So 24, which is insane.
I mean, 24 is still really good, but you rolled
Right.
a 4.
Rolled a 4. Thank God for that +20.
Oh, so
I
that's
love it.
actually 26 for me.
And yours is 26. Okay, and where are you hiding, Lambeau?
I'm hiding. I think Lambo's hiding closer to the ground so she can keep hold of the dog
Great.
easier.
Great. So maybe like sort of around the tree that Zenda's
Yeah.
hiding in. Great. Zephyr, where are you hiding on the other side?
I'm probably trying to make one of those like what do you call it when you get like a bunch of like grass and leaves and try and like
Oh,
camouflage
like
yourself.
it has a name, like a hunting name. Somebody in chat knows, right? I'll think of it. A blind.
Right.
A blind.
Yeah, one of those. Of course, Zephyr is terrible at that, so he's just gonna like, if not for the spell,
Right.
he'd be standing out. It'd be like holding a twig and pretending. He's asleep.
I love it. I love it. Go ahead and make me your dexterity stealth check at a +10 with
All
your
right.
spell. I love everything about that. Yes, thank you, Nox.
Gotta make that roll.
Hey,
22.
that's a 22. Okay, so this is all looking pretty good. And then, I mean, I think Lazarus doesn't need to make one because he's a bird and he's just out there and that's sort of fine. And Merrick, you don't really need to make one either. Well, actually, here's what I will say. So are you, you're inside the house. Are you like trying to keep an eye out the window? Are you sort of waiting to try and hear something that's happening but not trying to keep a visual on it? What's your plan inside?
I'm watching through Lazarus's eyes.
Even better. Okay, so then you're somewhere where there's no way that they would see you, so you don't need to make your check either. Ren puts the I almost said the food, meat hands out, and you all wait. And he does it, about an hour after dark, close to midnight. And about half an hour passes, and it is beginning to become uncomfortable and boring, and the dog is just about done with his bone. And let me have wisdom perception checks from everybody, please. All right. You rolled double digits. I'm so proud of you. Okay, so it was an 11 for Lambeau, a 12 for Zephyr, a 21 for Zenda, and
12.
And 12. All right. Zenda, you are the first to hear what sounds like sort of shuffling and dragging sounds coming from the woods near the house. And you look out that way and you see shapes moving towards you. It's hard to see clearly exactly what they are, but it looks like 3 separate shapes that are very slowly moving towards the house.
Do I have any way of communicating with any of my people? I don't think I do.
I mean, whispering sort of comes to mind.
Yeah. I'm close enough.
Well, Lambeau is at the bottom of the tree that
Yeah,
you're in.
I'm done. So we can
Yeah.
do that.
I drop a tiny stone by you to get your attention.
Right. Lambeau do the mental like, what is it? Lambeau, look. This is mental. You don't actually have to whisper.
Oh, mental? Okay.
So
great.
when Lambeau connects,
Yeah. Sorry, she's a telepath, so she can.
Got it.
But we've determined that she sort of has to start the connection. But I love the idea of Zenda literally in her head. She's not whispering out loud. She was whispering in her head.
Oh, no, I still figured that it was in her head.
Oh, yeah.
The whispering.
Oh, 100%.
Like, just look, and then point to where they're coming out of the woods.
Yeah, so pointed out, Lambeau, I think, they're getting a little bit closer now, and you can see them, and you spy the 3 shapes. It's dark, right? It's middle of the night, so it's very dark. In fact, this was all really lovely, but I need any of you that don't have dark vision to make that perception check with disadvantage. I'm so sorry.
Oh, right.
There's enough.
Feeling light would ruin the hiding.
Right, and there's moonlight, so like you can see. You're not completely blind, but it's dim. So,
Okay.
So roll that again. Anyone who doesn't have dark vision, which is Zenda and Lambeau. Yeah.
Ah.
Okay. Okay, so actually, Zenda, you still got a 16, so I do actually think you still saw them coming. Lambeau, when they're pointed out, it's really hard for you to make out. You just you just see like patches of darkness that do seem to be moving, but you really can't make out what they are. You can make out that there are 3 of them, but that's about it.
All right. Lambeau will be mentally say just like, I think I see some. I at least see 3 things. I don't know what they are, but I see them. And then since it's actually they're on the other side. I think that's still not within 60 feet of her.
Probably not. I think the house is a little wider than that. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what that's fair.
Yeah.
But we know.
Yes, you know. Zenda, were you gonna say something?
Oh no, I was gonna tell Lambeau to telepathically
Right.
let everyone else know, but we can't do this.
Right.
Never mind.
Okay. So you're just watching, keeping an eye out?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So they continue to get closer, and Zenda, you keep a close eye on them, and eventually you start smelling something rotten and old and decaying. And as these 3 shapes get a little closer, they pass through a beam of moonlight that sort of has found its way through the trees of the woods that they're coming from. And you see that in the lead are these 2 strange, sewn together creatures. There are bits of flesh, but there are also bits of sackcloth. There are some parts that look like maybe they're carved from wood. They are just these patchwork, piecemeal, human-sized and shaped figures whose eyes are sort of bright and glowing green, moving towards the front of the house. Behind them, the 3rd figure is probably slightly taller if it were standing upright, but it's somewhat hunched over, and it has a sort of dull red glow in its eyes, and it is big and thick and muscular looking, but it is very clearly, you all have been in this business long enough to recognize that it is a zombie. It is an animated corpse. It doesn't look to be much more intelligent than your typical zombie, but it definitely looks bigger and stronger than your typical zombie. Will you both make me also... Hey, somebody followed. I will say thanks in a moment when I see it come up. Will you also, in the meantime, both make me another set of wisdom perception checks at disadvantage?
Sure.
And thank you to Mowgli. Oh, I know who that is. Hey, Mowgli. Thanks for following the channel. We appreciate it. And thanks for coming to check out the stream. If I am correct in who that is thinking, they are one of our big supporters for my podcast. So I'm excited that they are here. All right, so let's see. How did this go? That's a 7, so that doesn't look like it, and a 5. Yeah, okay. So you see those 3 figures, and then they quickly pass back into shadow, and they're probably at this point they're maybe 60 feet from your position, which is then another 75 feet from the house. So they've got a little ways to go yet. They're not moving super fast, but they are moving steadily.
Oh, hold on. Is Lazarus within 60 feet of Lambo?
Oh, sure. Lazarus could be.
All right. She'll say to Lazarus, thinking it can get some idea of what she's saying across to Merrick, just like,
interesting.
Lazarus, please tell Merrick that there are 3 undead things moving. One clearly looks like a zombie.
Interesting. Yeah, I mean, I think you all have been... Yeah, I think it's like images and bits and pieces, right? I think you all have worked together long enough for that much to be possible.
Yeah,
totally. So Merrick, I think that the images and the message that you then get from Lambeau is basically 3 skeletons like shambling. I think that's.
I mean, I can hear through,
but it was a telepathic.
It was a telepathic thing, so
yeah,
I could only reach Lazarus's mind, not yours.
Okay. I think for Lazarus, I think undead is more clearly skeleton because zombies sort of get. Lazarus is a raven, right?
Lazarus is technically a fiend,
but in raven form, right?
Yeah.
So I think Lazarus likes to eat dead flesh, and so zombies get a little confusing for him. Food versus enemy. So and you know this about Lazarus whenever you deal with undead, like all undead are skeletons to Lazarus.
How you said they're like 60 feet away?
They are 60 feet away from Lambeau and Zenda, which means they're about 135 feet away from the house.
Is there a way I can see the porch where the hand is?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm sure Lazarus can get a good
not
view
from
on
Lazarus, from Merrick's
yes, there are certainly windows that you can look out of. I'm going to need you to make a dexterity stealth check to not be seen in the window, but yeah, you totally can.
Okay.
I once again keep forgetting that I have to look at the phone for the camera and not the computer for the cameras.
I rolled a 17 for stealth.
Okay, great. So yeah, you can, and you were a tiefling. You can see in the dark, so you can see the front door without any problem.
So I'm trying to cast magic circle on the front where the stuff is.
Interesting. All right.
It takes a minute to cast, so I'm starting it now while they're still moving and hoping that no one does anything.
Okay.
I'm just trying to cast that there.
I like this. All right.
I'm choosing undeads as the target. And I'm inverting it, so instead of it forcing them out, I am trapping them in. So as soon as they cross the threshold, they won't be able to leave.
Okay, all right. So, do you try to communicate that to them in any way through Lazarus? I have no idea how that would work, but I'm just curious.
Squawk, squawk, wing to the lips. Shh.
That.
Okay.
All right.
Excellent.
He almost dabs.
Terrible.
Judging you.
So here for it.
Okay, so
you can't
you're.
judge me. You made so many puns.
I love it. So you're
I can still
working
judge you, I'm
on.
just not better than you.
You're working on casting the spell. Fantastic. So we'll say that they're now within maybe 30 feet of Lambeau and Zenda. Are you two planning on doing anything? And Zephyr, we're going to get to you in just a second because they're about close enough that you may notice them again. But in the meantime, Lambeau and Zenda doing anything as they approach?
Lambeau, no, because she wants to sort of hold position so everybody can target them at the same time, as opposed to
great. And from what you can tell, they're gonna pass probably within about 10 feet of you, but it's not like they're gonna walk smack into you guys, so you should be okay where you are. All right, so then they get right to about where you two are, and Zephyr, let me have you make a wisdom perception check, please. Yeah, okay.
14?
You're sort of keeping an eye on the rest of your party members' general location anyway, and so you at this point see these three creatures sort of step into another moonbeam as they pass by right where your friends are, and you see them approaching the door.
Obviously late to the party, but Zephyr will use the message cantrip to start communicating to his friends.
Great, excellent. And what are you communicating?
I see three looming figures moving towards the door. I believe they are zombies. You can respond to this message.
I hate you.
I love it so much. I love it.
Yeah. Can be confirmed, like mentally, can be confirmed undead. Wait until in range of everybody.
Don't do anything. I am working on something. Let them get to the porch.
Got it.
There we go. That's
This
everybody.
is hilarious. And it's funny because poor Zephyr has to relay the same message 3 times to each of you to get those responses. So it takes a minute. Not a minute, but it takes a little while for all that to sort of happen. Your name is Merrick. You can see them, right? Because you're keeping an eye on them now. You see them coming. They're close enough to the house. You realize that they're going to hit that area in the center a little bit before you finish your spell. And, it's up to you how you want to react. You're trying to keep them in, so they need to get there first anyway. You're just not sure, like, if they grab and immediately turn around, you're worried that they're going to be out of range before the spell completes. Like, you probably need an extra 10 seconds or so.
Okay. So, well, I can't really communicate that back unless someone messages me first. So I'm just kind of like, Ren!
Yeah, Ren is definitely not sleeping. He's terrified by all of this goings on. He also doesn't know that there's anything outside, really. He kind of has an idea because you went to the window, but, like, yeah, he doesn't want to know. But he's there. He says, what? Oh, God, what? Oh, God's what?
Can you go to the other side and tell Zephyr that I need him and everyone else to stall the creatures once they get to the point.
What creatures?
Just go around back and don't look out front. Just tell Zephyr that.
Okay. Is it danger? Okay.
Just be quiet and quickly, please.
Okay. All right. So he goes out the back, circles
Guard your
around
eyeballs.
circles around towards Zephyr. I'm gonna need, I am not taking responsibility for this. Kyle, I need you to roll a d20 for Ren's stealth check because I'm not doing it.
13.
Okay. Crap. All right.
Plus 4, because
no, but all right. Let's see. Where are my beauties? We're gonna roll some perception checks for them.
I'm right here.
We're gonna roll some perception checks for them. Fortunately, they're about as wise as you all. Actually, they're less wise than you all. So there's. Oh, you said a 14?
13, but
13.
Sure.
Okay. That's unfortunate. Come on. Okay, so Huh. Okay, so they hear Ren. They rolled a 14 and a 16 for their various perceptions. So they hear Ren and see him as he comes around the side of the house heading for Zephyr. And the two sort of patchwork creatures continue on for the door, but they sort of simultaneously raise their stitched together arms and point at where Ren is running. You're apparently in charge of Ren right now, Kyle, so roll another d20 for a perception check for Ren.
Fuck.
See if he notices them coming.
17.
Okay, so he notices them coming and lets out a little yelp and starts to run, and I think we need to roll initiative right now.
Hey.
All right, let's see. Let me do some roll. I'll do it over here. All right, Lambeau, that's a 4. That's a 5 for Zephyr.
Oh, no.
This is
Natural
amazing.
one.
This is really, we're just killing it. So Zeph is a 5. Lambeau's a 4. All right, Zenda's an 11. How
I got a
about
17.
17 for Merrick? Will you roll for Ren for me, please? He's got a +1.
10.
10. Ren. Let's see. The creepy zombie that's running after Ren gets a 12. And the two stitched together things that are chasing him get a 4. No, sorry, get a 7. Who did I?
Dang it. I'm slower than a zombie.
Okay, so
Pathetic.
Merrick, you're concentrating on this spell. Go ahead and roll me a wisdom perception check with disadvantage to see if you notice what's happening.
I got a 14 both times. So 14.
To 14, yes. Okay, so I do think you notice that this zombie is starting to take off in a direction that you can only assume is the direction that Ren is in. And we'll say you've got, I was going to say, we'll say you've got 2 rounds until you're completed with the spell. It does look like actually this, like it did cause the 2 front figures to pause for a moment, and it looks like it might have given you enough time. Like, this might have been the distraction you needed, unfortunately, however you want to look at it. But, like, it did what you wanted it to do.
Yeah.
So we'll say, you got
this
2
round
rounds
and
left.
round.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm going to focus on casting this here spell.
All right, do it. Next up is... Oh. Gaga. Okay. It is the zombie's turn, and it is going to lope very creepily towards... How fast is it? Oh, it's got... Okay. So it's going to lope creepily towards Ren, and it's going to get up to Ren, although it's going to have used its action to dash, so it's not going to have a chance to attack him this turn. But it is very close to him, and Ren at this point just lets out a scream. Zenda.
Mm-hmm. I'm gonna crawl to the edge of my am I on? I am. Crawl to the edge of the branch that I'm on.
Great.
With my bow and aim and shoot for the zombie.
Make me a dexterity acrobatics check as you're sort of shimmying out on this branch. You also sort of, like, as you're doing it, you just really hope that Ren doesn't see you doing it, since this is basically exactly how his mother died.
Yeah, that's true. I got a 27.
Okay, so you're fine. You picked the right branch. So you shimmy out there, no trouble. Okay, and you've got your bow out. Yep. You gonna fire that bow?
Yeah.
At the zombie?
Yeah.
All right, do it.
Do I get any sort of additions to it?
Yes. So if you go to the actions section of your sheet, it'll
Got
say
it.
next to short bow. Your hits.
Oh. Great. Let me just roll this. Then we'll add that. So I rolled a 16. Where's my short bow?
This is a teaching moment, because I know what your bonus is, but I'm not gonna tell you.
You're not going to tell me?
No, I'm gonna have you look it up on your sheet. D&D Beyond, everybody. They're an amazing tool. They do not officially sponsor or support the Greyhawk channel, but they do my podcast, so I thank them whenever I can.
What am I?
So if you go to the actions area, you can see
Got
it's
it.
got all those attacks. The third thing down should say short bow.
Ooh, plus 7.
That's the one. So it's a 23 to hit. You do in fact hit. You do.
Yes.
technically, we will consider Ren an ally, though I'm not sure how much good he'll be in combat. So you can, in fact, get your sneak attack, which means that you are rolling 1d6 plus 4 for the short bow, plus an additional 3d6 for your sneak attack. So a total of 4d6 plus 4.
Hooray!
4d6 plus 4.
Nice.
22.
All right, so this arrow goes streaking from the trees, goes streaking towards the zombie and just embeds right in the center of its back as it sort of thrums and vibrates and lets out this really awful sort of gurgling howl as the arrow sticks in its back. What did we say? 22? Fantastic. Which would have been enough to kill a regular zombie.
Oh, great.
Excellent. All right. Well done, Zenda. Ren is absolutely terrified. And I think I wasn't going to allow him to disengage because I don't think he's that skilled a combatant. But I will say that, like, the distraction of the zombie getting an arrow in its back will say that Ren is able to disengage and run to... well, he's gonna run to Zephyr because that's the closest. Actually, let's see if he can find Zephyr. What was your stealth roll, Zephyr, from all that time ago? Do you remember?
I do. It was a 22.
Fantastic. Let's see. He rolled a 7 for his perception, so he has no idea where you are. So he generally sort of knew basically what area you were hiding in, so he's running in that general direction, but not towards you. He's probably about 15, 20 feet off to the side of where you actually are, just running.
Do I see him?
I'm sure you see him. He's not being stealthy or quiet about it at this point.
I mean, I think there's probably... It's not my turn yet, but when it is, I'm going to just motion to him so he can see that I'm there.
Great. Okay, I buy that. Ren. Okay, the two stitched together horrors continue to move towards the door, and they essentially have now gotten to the door. They just arrive, for using the game terms, they use their action to dash and arrive at the door at this point. That was them. Zephyr, you are up. It is your turn. So you can wave. That's a free action. It doesn't take up your action. He'll see you and start heading your way when he can.
Sure. And do I have a pretty good idea of where Merrick is?
Yes. I mean, you know that they're in the house. Why don't you make me a wisdom perception check real quick to just see if you notice which window they're in. Oh, yeah.
18.
Sure. Yeah, they're on the window that's just to the right of the front door.
So I will use my message cantrip and just say, I see them. They're at the door. What would you like me to do?
Hey, thanks, Infinite Names, for the follow. We appreciate it. Glad to have you on board here at the Greyhawk channel. You can respond. That's fine, Merrick, if you want to respond.
Leave them alone for like 6 more seconds, approximately.
Okay. I mean, I can't then re-respond, but
right. So you can use a bonus action if you want to do anything with your bonus action this turn.
I will say to Ren, my apologies for these trying times, but I hope that we can make it through this difficult time together. I am here for you, Bardic Inspiration. Okay. I don't know what he'll do with it, but hopefully it'll...
Me either, but we will find out.
If it's going to be the difference between life and death, hopefully that will be...
That's true. He could use it on you could use it on saving throws, so he could, in theory, use it on a death save if he gets dropped.
And that's my action. All
right, fantastic. After Zeph is Lambeau. Merrick, you're on deck.
Hey.
Oh,
Lambeau's...
we need I'm so sorry to interrupt you, Lambeau, and we'll add him in next round, but we need an initiative for Lazarus. So roll that for me, Merrick, and we'll add him in round 2.
He's not doing anything.
Okay, well, I'm just checking. Go ahead, Lambeau.
She's gonna actually cast Slow on the undead creatures because it's a 40-foot cube and at 120 feet.
The 2 that are at the door at this point?
Yeah. If she can get the 2 at the door, great. If she can get all 3, whatever. But like I said, because it's a 40-foot cube, I don't know if the other one's close enough.
Yeah, the other one ran 60 feet with its move because it dashed. And this zombie doesn't have the slow movement of regular zombies. So it's probably out, but you can definitely get the 2 stitched together creatures that are at the door.
So she'll do that. She'll do.
And that's Constitution save?
That is double checking. Which save is that? Wisdom.
Wisdom save. All right. Ooh. That's gonna go super well, let me tell you. It's not. So the first one gets a 14.
I think a 14 does actually make it.
Okay, the other one got 11, so that almost certainly does not. Let's check your DC.
I believe it's DC 14.
It is 14, yes. Okay, so the one saves, the other does not.
Yeah, 1 out of 2 isn't bad. It's 50%.
Absolutely.
Doesn't it work?
Absolutely. All right, so one of them is slowed. Anything with your bonus action?
Bonus action, no.
All right, so you see this. What does slow look like when you cast it?
Slow kind of looks like you know how you can pour like syrup or molasses over pancakes. There's sort of that magical translucent wave of that just kind of like spreads all over one that actually worked on. Like the other one, it kind of slips off. The other one, it stays and kind of but magically. Yeah.
I love that. Great. Okay. Anything with your bonus action?
Mm-mm.
Okay. All right. We're at the top of the second round. Merrick, you can complete your magic circle. Tell us what that looks like.
So as the magic circle takes hold, it's kind of like from the very point, the center point of the circle, erupts like a puff of black smoke, and then like glowing red runes out from the center in the diameter, and then up in like a cylinder like form into like a 20-foot tall cylinder, and that's like a little thing, and they're
love that. And they're trapped inside of it now. Is that true? Yeah. Anything?
And like the runes like shift slightly, and there's like smoke emanating from them as they're like burning the air.
Great. I love that. And as they try and because inevitably they've got a little while, but inevitably as they try and test the bounds of this, they will be thrown back into the circle. I love it. All right. Anything else on your turn, Merrick?
And then Merrick's gonna open the front door and just get ready to blast these bitches.
Just throw open that door. I love it. All right. Who is up next? The zombie is up next. The zombie is going to continue to now head towards. Well, let's see if it noticed. Oh, yes. Okay. So it's going to head sort of towards both Ren and Zephyr in this round. And I think it will get up to Zephyr. But again, it'll have used its action to dash, so it won't be able to attack this round. Zenda, you are up. Ren is on deck, and yeah.
Okay, so that thing is still running at my people.
It is,
All
yes.
right.
It's a good ways away from you at this point, but yeah.
Can I still hit it with my...
I think so. What's the range on that thing? It's probably pretty good. 80. Oh, okay, so it is actually... you can. It's outside of your normal range, so you're going to have disadvantage on the attack. If you shoot from the tree.
Okay. All right, sure. Let's do it.
All right, so you're going to roll twice, take the lower.
Okay.
Okay. Was a 10 plus 7, 17. Hey, okay, so the lower is a 10 plus 7 is a 17, which I'm pretty sure still hits this thing. It does. All right, so you really take aim here, and it's, you're really focusing because it's so far away, but you land another arrow right in its back again, and it is next to an ally. It is next to Zephyr, but you had disadvantage, which means you can't get sneak on it. So just 1d6 plus 4.
1d6 plus 4. You got it.
So this one's off to the side a little bit. It strikes it true, not quite as... And that was a 1, so 5 altogether. So it does strike. It sort of grazes it in the side. You can see that this arrow didn't actually even stick into the zombie itself. It just sort of passed through it. But it did some damage. You did the thing. Ren is going to run over to Zephyr and hide behind a tree nearby, not within reach of the zombie, not really sure what to, just sort of yelling and asking, what do I do? Help, please, don't let it get me.
So Zephyr, is it just going to be his turn right after?
No, it is in fact the creatures inside of the magic circle's turn at the moment.
Gotcha.
All right, I gotta look at this.
But he'll do what he can to just instantly try and console him and reassure him.
Great. Okay, so you have reversed it, so a creature cannot leave. Creature has disadvantage on attack rolls against targets presumably outside of the cylinder, and targets outside of the cylinder can't be charmed, frightened, or possessed by the creature. Oh, interesting. So it can't do that. They can't do that either. How very interesting. A good spell to use, sir.
Thank you, sir.
All right. So they're going to pick up the gloves, and you, Merrick, as you're watching them, they don't sort of seem to immediately notice that there is a problem with the hands. And they pick them up and they try and go, and they both sort of walk into this barrier and begin sort of scrabbling on the barrier. And there really isn't sort of anything they can do about it, right?
Nope, there's no save. It just lasts for an hour, and those bitches are trapped.
Yeah.
It's not even concentration on my part, so
I see that. I went back and forth about these creatures, whether or not I was going to class them, because I sort of reskinned a couple things and mashed them together. I went back and forth deciding whether I was going to class them as constructs or undead, and I went with undead, and clearly I should have gone with constructs. All right, so they're sort of out of commission for an hour or until you decide to dismiss the spell. Of course, it was an expensive spell to cast, but since we haven't talked about money anyway, it doesn't much matter, does it? Yeah. All right, that was their turn. So Zephyr, it is your turn now.
All right. Do I notice like the visible spell in place? Like, does it have a visual
I think it does, right, Merrick?
Yeah, there's like visible runes.
You can see the glowing runes, and every time that's the stat block I'm using, but every time the sewn together creatures sort of like slam up against the barrier, it flashes with a brief flash of light.
The scarecrows? Was that what you said?
Shush, I didn't say anything.
So Zephyr is going to then further reassure Ren. As you can tell, my companions have everything well in hand. We will have this taken care of.
You're so calm. There's a zombie right next to you.
Oh, there's one like right next to me?
Yes!
Oh no! I missed that. I'm sorry.
It's okay. I love that visual.
But that's fine. That he probably would have done that regardless.
I agree.
And then at the same time, then just turned.
Sure.
And taken out his rapier and then started attacking.
Great. Do it. I love it. Oh man, that was funny.
25 to hit.
25 to hit. Absolutely hits, yes.
I hope that hits.
Yeah, absolutely.
For 6 damage.
All right. All right, so you stab this zombie in the gut, and it sort of snarls and clearly is about to come for you. Lambeau, you are up.
Okay, cool. Well, Merrick seems to have the zombies under control, so I don't have to worry about maintaining slow. So she's going to Chaos Bolt, the one that's attacking Zephyr.
Love that spell.
Cool, which hopefully I have the right damage on here. I actually don't. That's 2 more d6 because I'm doing it at 3rd level.
Great.
Nice.
Love that. And let's see.
And the spell type was, let's say I just went with the first type, so that would be 7 is Psychic.
Psychic. Ooh, I love that. Let's see here. All right.
So a total of 23.
Holy shit, you Chaos Bolt the shit out of this thing. Yeah, so what does that look like? What does Chaos Bolt look like? I'm excited about this.
So Chaos Bolt, basically it's kind of Lambeau. She does with most of her flashy things, like first her gloves light up, and normally there's a particular color associated with her mood, but this one they are just literal rainbows.
Yeah.
And it's kind of like, like Lucky Charm style, this rainbow leaves from her hands into this thing, and it's just this swirly mass, and I think finally purple shoots out and just decks this thing right in the face.
Absolutely, right in the face. And it slams into it, and it sort of turns around and tries to figure out where it came from, but is much more concerned with Zephyr, who is right there. And it is chaos. It is noisy. Ren is freaking out, but trusts that Zephyr has this zombie well in hand. Merrick has just completed a spell that's basically completely incapacitated 2 of the combatants, and that's where we're gonna leave it for this week. We will come back next week mid-combat and see where we're going with this and how we figure out who's behind all of this next week. Hey, thanks everybody for playing. Thank you all so much for those of you who came to hang out and watch with us. Sorry for the weird technical difficulties and the fact, we ended up not taking a mid-show break today because we took some breaks before. It was all very weird, but thank you for hanging out with us. If you're watching this later in the future, time travel is cool on the VODs. We appreciate you watching. Make sure and subscribe to the channel so that you can watch us live one of these days. Let's go around and everybody can let us know who you are, who you played, where we can find you on social media if that is a thing you care about, and also tell us one of your favorite moments from today's session. Let's start this time. We'll go in reverse order, so we'll start with Emily.
Hi, I'm Emily. I played Zenda. You can follow me on Instagram at Emily D Mads, I think is my handle.
I think that is true. I'm also going to remember to add that handle to our overlay next week. Since you don't have a Twitter, I forgot to put it on, but I'll do it next week.
I do Twitter. I don't really do much other than Instagram. My favorite part from this week was knock knock, it's time to Sherlock.
Yep.
And all of the hand puns. I think that's my favorite part of the whole thing.
Mm-hmm. All right. Cool. Ismael.
Yes, I'm Ismael. I forgot to say this earlier. He, him pronouns. I can be found at King Lorathorn or Elven Wizard King on Twitter. And I played Zephyr, who had some emotional distress this week.
Yes, he did. Bless him. A moment from this week that you enjoyed?
Oh, yes. See, I always forget that.
That's okay.
But no, my favorite moment, I think, was just the initial, after we got done with all the exposition, and it was just kind of like us being ourselves in the mansion and just kind of talking about what we were doing, and I was doing the breakfast and everyone else was being themselves.
Yeah, I really
kind
love
of a nice little glimpse. If we were a sitcom, it'd be like the opening.
Totally. I like this exactly that, sitcom opening of Zephyr getting up and making breakfast, yes. Zenda walking in from a night partying and grabbing a plate, the other two never coming down. I love it.
Cold open.
Perfect. Kyle.
Hi, I'm Kyle. I'm on Twitter at super_queero. I played Merrick. I am on a bunch of things. Most of them you can find me on Twitter, and I'll be blasting them all the time. On Wednesdays, I'm on Pro Restarter's channel. This week on Thursday, I'm with Straticus Academy.
Oh, nice.
I'm on the Prison Palace podcast. This week is crazy for me because we are doing our Pride event where we have an episode of content every single day, as well as partnering with 5 other shows to produce a series of one-shots with them. So that's about 12 episodes of content coming out in 1 week that I'm organizing and marketing right now. And it's awful.
Woo.
I love it. What else? My favorite thing. I loved Maddie Faye. I loved her so much.
Mini Faye.
Fuck. I didn't love her that much, apparently. I wrote her name down, I think. And my notes that are very minimal at this point.
I see that.
Do not make sense.
She was really good.
Right.
I'm a fan of Mini Faye. All right, last but not least, Alicia.
Hey, I'm Alicia on Twitter. You can find me at NNG98. I'm a member of a couple of different streams. I normally tweet out when that happens. My pronouns are she, her, which I am also very bad about saying.
It's okay.
And favorite moment, I play Limbo. Favorite moment from this week, I think, is actually at the butcher shop. Was trying to get.
Oh my god!
I forgot about that already.
That made me forget about the puns earlier. I'm like, no, that superseded it for me.
Really good. Oh no. All right, and I'm Eugenio. I am also known as your friendly neighborhood dungeon master, DM Jazzy Hands. You can find me on Twitter at DM Jazzy Hands. I am here every Monday night. I'm over at Variant Roles on playing a half-drow warlock in a game set in Ravnica. It's all very confusing. We had our first session last week. It was a ton of fun. Fridays, you can find me on Encounter Roleplay playing a human cleric of Rao in a game also set in Greyhawk called The Basilica of the Cudgel on Encounter Roleplay's channel. And Sundays, you can find me DMing the fantastic half-rate heroes on Gratuitous RP. Also, my baby is my podcast, The Last Refuge. We drop new episodes every Wednesday. We are fast approaching our 2-year anniversary, which is super overwhelming to me. You can find out all of the information about the cool stuff we've got going on for our anniversary at my show's Twitter. That's at DND Last Refuge. Check us out there. We've got giveaways. We've got a special offer going on our Patreon. All kinds of cool stuff. I have so many favorite moments from today. I think one of them was just how much the dice wanted to emphasize that Lambeau is not a wise character. Just sort of like every time it happened.
I don't listen to people.
Just like every time it happened. It was amazing. I loved everything about it. Fantastic. I want to really quickly go through once again all of our amazing sponsors and supporters for the stream. We want to thank Roll20. We want to thank Heroic Maps, where you can find their stuff on DriveThruRPG, Tabletop Loot, of course, Devin Rue at RueInc.com, and Cantrip Candles at CantripCandles.com for all of their support, and of course, all of you who have subscribed to the channel or joined our Patreon. We understand that not everybody is able to support channels like ours financially, and that's super fine. If you are able, we incredibly appreciate it. But even if you're not, just hitting the follow button up there and contributing to our follower goal for the summer season. We had 3 new follows during our session today, which is awesome. We're up to 171 of our 400 follower goal, so let's make that happen. We super appreciate it there. Stick around. It looks like, according to what I'm seeing on the schedule, it looks like there is a new show that is going to happen on this channel at 4 o'clock. So like stick around for a few minutes. There may be something new going on like right now. If not, you can come back here. If you aren't going to be over with me at Variant Rolls at 8 o'clock tonight, you can be here at 8 o'clock for Gnome's show, The Grove, where we meet a Feywild. Nope, the camera's over here. A Feywild themed show here on the Greyhawk channel. Otherwise, we will see you back here next week, same time, same place, 1 p.m. Eastern, 10 a.m. Pacific, here on the Greyhawk channel with episode 4 of the Brenton Files, Monsters and Myths. Thanks for watching, everybody. We appreciate you. Have a great week and happy gaming, y'all.
Hey, stay hydrated.
Bye.